You damn right. Hope everybody is having a good Friday. NBA Finals cranking back up tonight. The Super Regional round is underway, and the Longhorns will be the last game to start. We'll get you set up for that. We know a little bit more about college football in 2024. Big Ten jumps ahead of the SEC to let us know how their scheduling is going to work. So for you Longhorn fans, Aggie fans, and SEC fans, maybe something we can learn from it. We'll take a peek at that at 12:30. A lot going on today on this Friday. Hope you have a great weekend planned. I'm Chad Hastings, and he is the one and only Isaiah Collier. What's up, Zay?
What's poppin', Chad? Happy Friday, everybody. Happy 69 day, especially the Zion Williamson. Boy, you get freakier and freakier every day. Another one has came out and exposed the former Dookie, and it's not looking too good for the 22-year-old Chad Hastings.
Doesn't anybody just leave people's business their business anymore?
No.
Don't we just – can anybody have secrets?
No.
Nobody can have behind the scenes, behind the curtains.
You got to treat these women right. You can't disrespect them. Zion, you've been wilding. 3 different women. You got a baby mama doing the gender reveal, and then 2 other women come out and expose you. One's a former porn star, which ain't nothing wrong with that. Stop slut shaming old girl. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
She's not that anymore. She says it. She might have an OnlyFans or something, but she making her own money. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But Zion, you obviously have a type. And another one, what DJ Khaled say? Another one just came out and exposed young Zion, talking about, oh, I can't believe you do me like this, man. You doing this for clout. You talking about giving me a Cullinan, which is a Rolls Royce SUV. If some of you older guys out there don't.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah,
Rolls Royce has an SUV?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, he promising these girls that and stuff. And then
hang on. I'm imagining what features are on a Rolls Royce SUV.
Oh, stupid.
Dude. But besides heating and cooling, what will the seats do to me or for me in a Rolls Royce SUV?
I love how Rolls Royce SUV, you're thinking of heating and cooling.
No, I'm just thinking of all the weird stuff they put in cars. I bet the steering wheels got heated, cooled. I bet you've got, oh my God. I bet I just have to say the words of the band I want to hear. You just get in there and go, Jay-Z, and then just starts playing.
Yeah, it's weird because Rolls Royces and Bentleys, I don't know which one for sure, but they come with like an umbrella. Like an exclusive umbrella. I don't know why, but
that.
It comes with like an exclusive umbrella that just shows, like, I guess when it's raining and stuff and you're rolling around, you showing that you got money. But yeah, man, the new girl, she got a picture of Zion sleep in the bed with his tattoos and stuff.
That's rude, by the way.
That is bad.
That is so rude.
That is bad. But I'm saying, you got to look at these former athletes that paved the way for you. Derek Jeter?
Yeah.
Come on now.
You do.
Like, Derek Jeter is a legend, not just on the baseball diamond, but off the field. What he used to do, how he had bellboys and stuff, because it's New York City. He had a nice penthouse down there in Manhattan. They go hit up the bellboy. Bellboy said, sweetie, where that phone at? If you're going up to Mr. Jeter's room, you better give me that phone. And if they might have to. They might have to search him.
I was going to say, where's your other phone?
You might have to pat him down.
Where's your wire phone?
Yeah, you might have to pat him down. Just, you can never be too careful.
Where's your Barksdale phone?
Yeah, and look at Jeter. Everybody looks at Jeter as a saint. He could do no wrong. Jeter he had him. He had him. But he was so low-key and smart about it. All we think about is those crazy jump throws from shortstop to first when we think of DJ and the championships with the blue stripes. Man. But Zion, only 22 years old, getting caught up like this. Like I said, we were talking about Allen Iverson needs to go call John Morant and talk to him. Magic Johnson needs to go call Zion Williamson and talk to him like, yo, brother, I went down this road and I know I beat the HIV virus, obviously, but you don't want to get caught up like me. Come on, young man. You could do better.
And there's a lot of different ways to get caught up, and now he is getting into the most modern version of it that we've ever heard.
Yeah.
Because this kind of thing is, it's obviously crazy.
Zion, when they say work on your stroke in the offseason, this ain't what they talking about. They talking about the wicked jump shot.
That is,
you worried about the wrong stroke, my guy.
I could feel, I could see it in your face that there was something you were holding back. Something you were holding back. There it was.
Zion needs to hold back.
Zion. It is crazy.
And you're doing it for the chocolate brothers, too. Come on now. You got to represent. For the dark-skinned chocolate brothers, you got to represent because there's women out here, they love them some chocolate.
What,
you got to know.
You're saying there's a reputation to uphold?
Yes.
You just got to
Yes, you know, women love chocolate. That's a true saying. Trust me, I know.
Well, and it's also, I remember back in the day, the first time that a former athlete talked to me about women waiting in hotels. And it's obviously a world I do not understand. There had been I don't know if I've ever walked into a room where two separate women in that room wanted me at the same time. I have no proof that that's ever happened. And in my heart, I probably know it hasn't.
Right.
But to hear that description where it's like, look, you got to understand what this is. And I've had multiple guys talk to me about it over the years. I remember Brian Jones was very open about it. We were talking about it on the air one time, and he's like, you just don't get it. And he goes, I can't make you understand what that's like. He goes, but it is such a weird, it's an altered universe.
Yeah.
When there are women literally lined up in the lobby of a hotel, all dressed up, all looking as good as they think they can look, and they all have one thing on their mind. It will change the way you think about your job. It'll change the way you think about your relationships. And unfortunately, his argument back then was it will change the way you think about women.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there, but now we're talking super modern. We're taking pictures of these dudes while they're sleeping. We're putting social media stuff out about specifics that you're doing in bed.
Woo.
And by the way, I do love the fact that both of these women, neither of them are upset at any freak level that Zion has attained. They're upset that he's doing it with multiple people.
Yeah.
That's all they're upset about here. And now they're just going to throw his business out there. It's a new version of it.
Well, some women can handle that. Some women can handle, I'm just a freak out here. You ain't the only one. Be real with him, because obviously he wasn't. Both of those women are talking about, we had no idea you had a baby on the way, because now they're like, they probably feel a certain way about the baby mom. Like, man, I bet you she feels disrespected. She's carrying your child and all the emotion that goes to that. And this fool out here wilding out, just not giving a damn, just doing this thing all over New Orleans.
Okay, maybe the rudest text we'll get all day, and then we'll move on to the actual NBA. This text on the Specs text line, 337-3776, Zay says, his baby mamas are 10s added together. See, that's
Y'all cold.
Rude.
Y'all cold, man.
Rude. Is that like the old George Carlin deal? I've never been with a 10, but one month I was with 5 2s. Is that what you're telling me? Okay. All right, so keep your eyes on that Zion Williamson story if you love a good NBA soap opera. Nobody brings you the soap opera like the NBA, and now it's just a cranked up 2023 all hands on deck. Everybody's got a phone version of it. There's a lot of NBA to get into. We'll get into some football stuff today as well. Also coming up in the crap bag, I will tell you about the fight that I thought I was going to witness at a concert last night and the reason why I didn't. Coming up in the crap bag. And I'll tell you about some organized fighting that's going on this weekend. But first, let's get started with a couple things here. We'll keep you updated on those super regionals. Duke and Virginia are in that ACC battle. Duke up 2-1 in the bottom of the fourth. That's the first one underway. TCU fans, you'll crank it up at 4. Getting to host that, by the way, against Indiana State. South Carolina and Florida a little later on, and then Oral Roberts and Oregon will get things going from Corvallis. I'm sorry, Oregon fans, that I was about to say that. From Eugene later on. All right, so we'll keep you updated there. Also, tonight you've got NBA Finals Game 4. Zay, I'll start it this way. I feel bad that I did not say this as we were discussing Game 3, because I have certain things that I always seem to go to, and I didn't go to some of my favorite stats when they were glaring. 58-33 on the boards and 60-34 in the paint.
Yeah.
I feel bad I didn't say that because those are two of my favorite stats. And I heard Rod and Hard say it yesterday, and I'm like, oh, damn it, I forgot to talk about that.
Yeah, we talked about the 60 points in the paint, but we didn't talk about the opposing team only getting 34.
So that's so abusive. If I'm Eric Spoelstra, what the heck does he do about that?
Yeah, you got to live with those other guys beating you. They've done that the whole playoffs, from the Minnesota Timberwolves to the Phoenix Suns to the Los Angeles Lakers. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has been amazing. Bruce Brown has been amazing. So has Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr. All of those guys have been knocked down. Well, not Christian Brown as much, but Bruce Brown, MPJ, KCP, all of those guys have been knocked down shooters where you can't leave them open if you focus on Jamal Murray or Nikola Jokic. In game 3, it was to take those shooters away. And what they did in game 2, that's what they did in game 2. That's how they won. Those guys didn't get going. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was awful. Bruce Brown wasn't very good. Michael Porter Jr. also wasn't very good. And even though Nikola Jokic had 41, and yes, Jamal Murray's 18 in game 2 and the 30-something that he had in game 3, that's a huge difference also. But those other guys getting going, your role players, that's been huge for the Nuggets all series long. There's that stat where Joker goes over 40 points, they've lost every game. When he's dishing that rock, only 4 assists in game 2, they lose that game. When he has more than 10 assists and stuff, most likely they're going to win because everybody's getting involved, and that's the style that Mike Malone wants to play. So if I'm Eric Spoelstra, I'm letting those guys not take open shots, but I'm doubling more on Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. And
so early in that first quarter, maybe you see if those guys have the outside shot.
Yeah.
They're in your building. See if they can hit it on your floor.
Right. Because you got to take away something. And what Mike Malone and the Denver Nuggets did in game 3 was just a masterclass, just killing them inside, offensive rebounds. And that's the con of being in a zone. You can't match up with people in box out and you'll get killed on the boards like the Heat did. And I went back and I watched the game again yesterday, and just to see what exactly were they doing. Gosh, their zone offense was terrific. Like I said, they had to just practice zone from in between game 2 and game 3. Practicing zone should have been a huge key point for the Nuggets, and it obviously was. In a matchup zone that Miami's playing, it's not traditional Jim Boeheim style because, first off, you can't stay in the lane for 3 seconds, defensive 3 seconds. That's in college basketball. There's no such thing. So Bam Adebayo always has to take a step out of the paint or come up at the free throw line. And that could get you out of sorts. So you could, as a defender or as an offensive player, you could time cuts. And you could time like, okay, he's in the paint, 1, 2, he has to get out, I'm cutting. And they were doing that. And
that's an interesting thought. That's a really interesting point for a second. The idea that when a defensive player may have to move.
They have to. Or if they're not, you're letting the ref know. Ref, that's 3 seconds. Ref, that's 3 seconds. Like, it's a chess match. It's a mind game. That's the beauty of it. So once they go out the paint and you cut to the basket, it's hard to get back. And they were doing things like that. Another thing that they were doing in the zone, which is amazing, when the ball went to the wing, and when the ball is on the wing, the guy at the top of a 2-3 zone, whether it's a traditional or matchup, depending on who's at the wing, let's say it's Jamal Murray, he's a 3-point shooter, so you have to get out on him. The baseline or the guy on the bottom of the zone, the third man that also has to get to the wing, they have to switch. So one has to take the other. The one on the baseline has to come up first so the one on the top could get over in time, and then they have to retreat back towards the basket. During that time, Nikola Jokic would cut to the block, and it would force Bam Adebayo to follow him, and then it would leave them very vulnerable on that backside where guys were cutting, like Christian Brown. He had about 2 cuts off of that type of action where the ball was in the wing and 2 Miami Heat guys were on one player just for a second, even though it's very quick and you got to do it fast. And Joker went right to the block. They gave it to Joker. He caught it. He dumped it right down to a cutting Christian Brown. Just great offense. And it has you scattered. And putting guys in the right spots on offense just because they're good shooters. If I have Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray on one side, they're going to get a lot more attention than if I had Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon on that side. Why? Because Aaron Gordon's not a shooter. So put those guys both at the same side. Now we got 3 Miami Heat defenders on one side because they're so worried about the 3-point shot, but they're forgetting about Aaron Gordon posting up little-ass Gabe Vincent or little Duncan Robinson or Caleb Martin.
Everybody's little when Gordon's the offensive
Everybody's
guy.
little. He did a great job, old-school basketball, like posting in the lane when Murray and Nikola Jokic got the ball, and then they would dump it to him, and he would get a dunk or an easy finish. So right now, you got to stick with that same game plan. Do I think Christian Brown's going to have this magical game that he had in game 3? No, but Bruce Brown could. That's the scary thing. KCP could. We've seen it all playoffs. And the fact that Christian Brown had that game, like the guy that you're worried about the least on the Miami Heat, that should scare the crap out of you. Because now, if you go man, all they're going to do is go two-man game with Jamal Murray and Joker and beat you up the whole time, to where Jimmy Butler, he can't take that. Jimmy Butler looks exhausted already. Ain't no way he could guard Jamal Murray on one end and you expect the same production on the offensive end where he's scoring and trying to get you 30-something. Like, those 3 rounds have taken a lot out of Jimmy Butler.
No doubt.
And it's starting to take a lot of Bam out of the bio too. As good as he's been, it's a lot saying go guard the best player in the league that's absolutely unstoppable. And the smart thing that the Nuggets are doing, they're saying Bam has to stop Joker on one side, and we're going to let Bam eat on the other because we want to stop Caleb Martin, which they have. Caleb Martin literally has 16 points in 3 games. He had 10 last game. He had 3 in game 1. He had 3 in game 2. He's irrelevant in this series. And think about what he did in that game 7 versus the Celtics. The son of a B looked like Kobe.
Yeah.
So that they need way more out of him. Again, Gabe Vincent wasn't good in game 3. As good as he was in game 2, he wasn't good. He has to get back to that. Kevin Love really didn't give you anything. And you gotta give love to what the Nuggets did defensively in game 3 on taking away those role players and shooters and saying, yo, tired Bam, tired Jimmy, y'all beat us.
A lot of good text rolling in on the Specs text line, 337-3776. One of our listeners named Jeff said the zone reminds me more of Georgetown's zone from the 80s. Kind of a hybrid zone man. Says only works with exceptional team speed on defense. And it says Butler could be ticketed for huffing. The guy is on fumes.
Yo, the dude looks tired, man.
He really does.
Like, think about Jimmy Butler when he's locked in. He's talking mess. He's in your face. Think about him getting in the face of Grant Williams and all that. Like, we haven't seen any of that because he's winded. And I get it. Like, being an AFC, taking down, even though he was hurt, Giannis and them, going up against Jalen Brunson and those New York Knicks, and then going game 7 where you were up 3 and then you gave up 3 and you know you had to win that game. Like, that's a lot of emotion, and it's starting to take its toll on him. So, like you said about Eric Spoelstra yesterday and how he snapped on old girl in the presser, like, he feels it. He feels that pressure of, man, game 3 might have been that game where they figured out the blueprint on how to beat us. And at this point of the season, just with our fatigue level and durability, it might not be enough.
Tonight may really tell us if we are going to be able to compare this to that Lakers-Sixers series. Are we going to have that feeling afterwards where you go 5 games, a dominant win for one team? Because that's the next step for Joker. I heard the afternoon guys talking about it as we were driving away yesterday. His next step is you got to put a ring on it. You got to add a ring to what he's done. And if he does it, how does he do it? Is it 7? Is it a struggle in 7 games? Or can they finish this gentleman's sweep and make it 5? Because 4 and 5 always feels different.
Yeah,
always.
It does. And man, Nikola Jokic, and I like how you talked about that, those 01, those 2000 Lakers team with Kobe and Shaq, because you go look around that roster and all the role players they had some flat-out dogs. Derek Fisher might be the greatest role player of all time. Robert Horry might be the greatest role player of all time. I was going to say,
if it's not Fisher, it might be Horry.
They had 2.
Right.
They literally had 2 to go along with the most dominant ever and probably the toughest guard we've ever seen in Mamba Kobe Bryant. It's absolutely stupid. And those guys, like Michael Porter Jr., was the #1 high school player coming out of college. The dude's had 3 back surgeries since he's gone to the association.
Oh, wow.
He shouldn't be playing, like, at all. And the fact that they knew that. The Nuggets knew that when they drafted him. They knew because at Missouri, he had that Kyrie Irving type season where he didn't play, but he was expected to go to the draft and go high. And a lot of, teams were a little nervous about his health. And they said, well, this guy's just too talented to pass up. If Michael Porter Jr. was the same Michael Porter Jr. from these Like, before the injuries, we wouldn't even see him on this team because he would have been a top 2 pick. He was that good, and at 6'10", he had a lot of KD in him before he had all the surgeries. But the fact that they still picked him with the risk that they knew, and it's now benefiting them. The trade with Aaron Gordon was huge. The trade with Bruce Brown was big. And they just made a trade today where they gave up a whole bunch of second-round picks to the Oklahoma City Thunder in the next few years because they know, man, we got a pretty good core of guys, and we're going to be good for the next 5 years, a lot like those Spurs and Lakers teams because they got a guy like Shaq and Tim Duncan in Nikola Jokic.
Let's see how dominant it looks tonight. Can they make it 3-1 and make us start thinking about that 5-game win, or is Miami going to even it up at home and everything goes back to Denver 2-2? We shall see. Real quick text before we hit this break. This text says Zay's basketball expertise has brought something to the Horn that others just don't have.
Oh, stop it.
I totally agree. And Zay, I told you not to give CeCe Collier our text number. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Appreciate you, Pops. Appreciate you, man. Always having my back. It's because of you. It's because of you. You know what I'm saying? Pops gave me a lot of game growing up.
We will get more of that expertise because I want to hear Zay's thoughts on CP3. Where will he end up? There's LA talk around CP3. Plus, we got to get into a little college football. How about some Big Ten? The other massive conference that's going to 16 teams has now let us know what the schedule will look like in 2024. They're going to protect 11 games. 11 matchups in the Big Ten that we're going to see every single year. You can probably name a couple right away. We'll tell you what the others are next on The Horn. Oh, man. You happen to pick one I do know. Oh, this is a guilty pleasure one for me. If you can hear this song and not cry, I don't know what to tell you. It's just a hell of a story. This is Rod Stewart's Living on a Prayer is what this is. Is it called Young Turks? Young Hearts?
Young Turks.
Young Turks,
yeah,
right?
You're right.
Yeah. Rod Stewart. Oh, man. Young Hearts, Breathe Free tonight. Rod Stewart, the solo Rod Stewart. Some of the hardcore rock fans didn't like the solo Rod Stewart. They wanted him back in Faces with Ronnie Wood and the crew. I liked it all. I fell for Rod Stewart as a solo artist as well. So Rod Stewart getting us started today. Speaking of music, I went to a concert last night, and I thought there was going to be a fight. And y'all know me, I'm kind of sick. I kind of wanted there to be one because I wasn't involved. So if you're going to have a fight, I will watch from a safe distance. Almost got a chance to. But I didn't, and I'll tell you why coming up at 12:45. Thanks for all the texts coming in, 337-3776. Specs text line with some basketball thoughts at the beginning. Game 4 of the NBA Finals is tonight. We'll get to that Big Ten scheduling coming up. Of course, Michigan and Ohio State are going to play every year. So is UCLA and USC. We'll tell you the other 9 games they're going to protect here in a second, and some of the other scheduling stuff we found out. Real quick, Zay, let's wrap up a basketball conversation with CP3. He's 49 years old, is that
Oh, man.
correct? He's not that
Basically, his body's 49 years old.
Right. There are parts of him, I'm sure, that feel 49. CP3 is up in the late 30s. LeBron's age, basically?
Yeah, 38, 37, around there.
Okay, so Phoenix is going to release him, and I think it became official yesterday afternoon. You mentioned Milwaukee yesterday as a kind of a fit. I'm also hearing, is it one or both LA teams that are interested?
I think it's just the Lakers.
Okay. Is it a LeBron thing?
Probably.
Okay.
We know how close they are. Banana Boat Crew. They're been friends since they came out of high school in 2003. We know LeBron went NBA. CP3 went to Wake, but they've been close ever since then.
Plus, Russell's going to be gone. Is that right? Isn't Russell like a free agent or
what for the Clippers? Yes.
I'm sorry. The Clippers now.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking? No,
D'Angelo Russell.
Russell.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Had my Russells confused.
And I'd be honest,
he's going to move as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd keep him before Chris Paul. Like Chris Paul at this age, he cannot last 82. I know load management is out there, but he cannot last 82 games, and you expect him to be ready for the playoffs at this point of his career. He could be a decent backup. That's why I mentioned the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, when they get healthy, if they add a Chris Paul to their team, that'd be tough, especially with Drew Holiday still running the show and starting because he's getting up there in age himself. But the Lakers, it would be a lot like the Rockets 99 with Pippen, Barkley, and Hakeem. Like, just a bunch of old guys who were great and Hall of Famers, but together at that point, way too late.
Yeah. So, because what I think of is, and pardon, no disrespect to the other two guys, but I think about it from LeBron's perspective, trying to find one more ring, trying to get to 5, trying to get to Magic and Kobe in terms of ring number. But could he think the amount of time between them that CP3 and Anthony Davis might miss. Can LeBron really be asked to shoulder all of that? And will even his body be able to hold up what is required? They barely scraped in this year and had to go play in, and they tried to get a little rhythm going, but you can feel LeBron's fatigue. What the heck would the Chris Paul thing add to that?
You got to put LeBron in that same situation with Anthony Davis and Chris Paul because his body is breaking down also. That LeBron we saw in the Western Conference Finals with the ankle and stuff, and he missed a lot of games.
So now he's late career Kobe.
Yes.
Where you're always worried about, damn, how long can he stay?
Yeah.
Can he go the whole run?
Yeah, it don't matter if you got a Ferrari, if you got over 6,000 miles on that thing, you're going to take that mug to the shop a lot, and it's going to cost a lot because it's a Ferrari. It don't matter.
Did you say 6,000 miles? Because that's a good Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, that's a good car. Yeah, over 600,000. Excuse me. I'm thinking, yeah, you're getting a deal if you get a 6,000 mile Ferrari.
I put 7,000 miles on my Ferrari. It is a piece of trash.
Why they gotta be European?
It is a piece. It's a Ferrari. I'm imagining somebody going in like the European,
like Mario Andretti.
Yes. I'm imagining the like European mountain roads and stuff.
Yeah, L.A. do not pick up Chris Paul. Bad move.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel right. And as weird and as inconsistent as we've seen D'Angelo Russell be, I agree with you. I'd keep him before I would deal with Paul.
Yeah, I mean, D'Angelo Russell, he just needs to see a shrink or something about his, morale and how he feels, because he could get real low, like he doesn't care. Somebody needs to help him with that. His game, if he got over the mental toughness type of thing, his game should thrive, especially being a former number 2 pick. He's super talented, super skilled. I'd rather keep D'Angelo Russell, plus he's way more durable, still in his 20s, than CP3 is. I saw somebody mention Boston for CP3. They got Malcolm Brogdon hurting his elbow, killed them. I know people don't talk about it enough, but he was 6th man of the year for the Celtics this year. That was a really good get in the offseason. And when he got hurt in that Miami series, it changed the way Joe Mazzulla had to go about his rotation, and he should have gave you way more than what he did. He was terrible, and a lot of that was because of the injury. And yes, Marcus Smart, he's getting up there too. Just talk about somebody that's beat up, and I think he's barely in his 30s. So I don't think that's quite the fit. I know Damian Lillard, there's been talks about him maybe going to Boston. I don't know what they would have to do to get him, but yeah, Chris Paul to LA. Nah, Chris Paul's more on the China retirement plan than he is on finding another team.
One person texted Chris Paul to the Kings, but then the next person texted Chris Paul would be a good fit sitting at home watching the game.
See, yeah.
Rudeness. But that's what you're saying too. Also, Spurs fans wanting me to add Tim Duncan to the list. You are correct. Let's go Kobe, Magic, Tim Duncan. They all have 5. They're in the 5 club.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
And Tim might be important to LeBron as well, since Tim beat LeBron twice. And LeBron's gotten him 1 time.
Yep.
Right? But Tim's taken 2, in LeBron's mind, maybe taken 2 of those rings. And by the way, definitively taken 2 of those rings from him. So, yes, Tim Duncan in that 5 group too. I wasn't being a petty Mavs fan, I swear. I was not trying to do that. Tim does have 5. You're absolutely right.
I need to go watch some Tim highlights.
Oh, my Lord.
He was so cold, man.
Good grief.
That touch, the backboard shots, the hook shots, left or right hand. He was a good passer. He was a great defender. Like, Timmy was stupid.
Yeah,
stupid good.
Incredible stuff. Yeah, we'll see if we're already talking about the greatness of Jokic, but after this series, is it going to just ratchet up even more? We'll continue to talk basketball. We've got football to get into today as well. I'm so excited about next week and that SEC 2024 schedule coming out. But Zay, we get a little teaser, if you will, Power 5 wise. Big Ten threw out their plan yesterday for 2024, and it sounds like a healthcare option. They're calling it Flex Protect Plus. Sounds like something I could get at work, maybe, if my company had a really good healthcare plan, right? Flex Protect Plus. And what the protect part is they're going to protect 11 games. We're going to see 11 Big Ten games every year, guaranteed. Here they are: Michigan and Ohio State, UCLA and USC. Those are the obvious ones to me. Here come some of the others. Maybe you don't think of these as big deals, but the Big Ten does. Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Indiana, Purdue. We can all understand that one geographically. Michigan State, Michigan. That's Paul Bunyan Trophy, if I'm not mistaken. Iowa, Minnesota. Illinois, Northwestern. Iowa, Nebraska. Maryland and Rutgers, the 2 newbies until USC and UCLA. Iowa, Wisconsin, and Illinois, Purdue. Now, if we dug through there, I think there's a Floyd of Rosedale in there. I think there might be an Old Oaken bucket in there. I think there might be a little brown jug in there somewhere. Interesting, Zay, Penn State is not in there. You did not hear me say Penn State. They have no protected games.
Who's their rival? They just look forward to playing Michigan and Ohio State every year. But other than that, and those 2 are so worried about one another, like, who is their rival?
Apparently, there is no absolute lock-in for them. The league, this is brilliant, by the way, the conference sent everybody a questionnaire asking about who's a team you have to play every year, who's a team you'd like to play but not necessarily every year. And they went through all this stuff. What's a game we have to protect at all costs? And apparently, they got all the stuff back. And Penn State didn't really blink at him. So maybe Penn State told them, like, oh, do y'all have to play Michigan? Nah, we're good, whatever.
Yeah.
So Penn State's interesting. They're going to play this, like, rotation of – they'll play a team like 3 out of every 4 years, but just not every year. So they're going to have a nice rotation, no divisions. And I hadn't realized this, but it is logical. The East has won every Big Ten title since they went to division.
Oh, shocker.
Right?
The side with Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State win every time.
But the beauty of this, Zay, and your tone there was perfect, because it's the way a lot of people feel outside the Big Ten, that's kind of a joke. But getting rid of divisions helps you, just like it's going to help the SEC. If the best, all that matters is the best is the best. The best is going to be 1 and 2. Pac-12's going there. Big 12 will go there. It's not about the best in this division has to play the best in this division. And when you get rid of divisions, you also get more rotation if you do it right. They're saying every matchup in the Big Ten, you're going to play every team in a 4-year span, and you'll have gone everywhere. That's what I've been talking about for the SEC.
Right.
You can work it where in a 4-year window, you will tell these kids, look, you stay with us for 4 years. You're going to wear every badass uniform we can think of, and you're going to play at all of our big venues. In this world, they'll say it. You'll go to Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, all of it. SEC, you're going to go to Bama, Georgia, Swamps, Kentucky. You're going to hear cowbells. You're going to hear all kinds of stuff. We're going to get all of it to you in 4 years if you stay.
Yeah, somebody said that Pitt is Penn State's rival, which makes a lot of sense, but we know Pitt's in the ACC, so it doesn't make sense to our conversation here. And yeah, it's very interesting, and I like what they're doing. Just you got to get rid of the divisions. All the blue bloods were on one side, and I know Wisconsin, they're kind of on the borderline of blue blood, but not really. Like, I definitely wouldn't consider Wisconsin a blue blood, but I could definitely consider them big time college
dangerous.
Football university.
They were the one in the West that had been consistent.
Yeah. So I think that matchup with Minnesota, especially having family from Minnesota on my wife's side, they hate some Wisconsin folks.
Yeah, right. That matters to them.
I've heard my cousin-in-law say, over there in Wisconsin, they're doing stuff crazy, this and that, blah, 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 just talking all types of mess. I'm like, damn, y'all got beef like that? I respect it.
I think Wisconsin, Minnesota might be. Is that Florida Rosedale, the one with the pig?
Oh.
Is that the pig trophy? I think that.
Yeah, you're all about the trophies. I never know about them.
I love those things. God, I love them. I love it. And the Big Ten rules those. That's what they were about. I love that. I love that there's some weird, just, legendary trophy that they came up with. Even when it comes to, what's the one? Is it Nebraska? There's one that it looks like it's not on the list, but like they even had a modern one with Nebraska. I think it was Nebraska Northwestern.
Wow.
They fired one up. And
they just made up one?
But it was so badass. They made up a trophy. No, it was. Dude, they ended up making a trophy and helping like children's hospitals at the same time, and it was called like the $5 and a bits of broken chair trophy or something goofy like that. But it had this wild story about both mascots, and it played through, and they made this goofy ass trophy, and they play for it. But every year, this children's hospital fund got a ton of money.
Yeah,
it was just beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah, when you grow up and go to grade school and you have geography, and it's most of the time a football coach or something that you don't really get much game. So I don't really see is Illinois and Nebraska that close where they could have that rivalry and it makes sense, or they just again made it up.
Yeah, that I'm not sure, because Illinois, the only one Nebraska's got apparently is that Iowa game. That's the only one that they're locking in. So Nebraska's going to be a little more fluid and floating. The other thing real quick, just to mention here, and we'll be digging through this before the season starts, obviously, USC's first schedule in the Big Ten, they're going to host Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Let's stop on that. USC's going to host Michigan and Wisconsin. That's pretty badass.
That's pretty nice.
Michigan at the Coliseum. And they're going to go to Maryland, Northwestern, Penn State, Purdue, and UCLA, because it's going to be 9 conference games. So 5 home games one year, 5 road games the next. So that means USC at Penn State. That's going to be a hell of a scene. And then USC at UCLA, of course, that helps those two out because you're going to get that road trip across town for one of them every year.
Think about how happy these defensive coordinators in the Big Ten are that they don't have to face Caleb Williams.
Oh, the ones that get to avoid him?
Yeah, they get to avoid him.
Yeah, right, because he'll go 20.
It'll be this year. Then he'll be in the draft.
Good point. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. UCLA, they will have Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, and USC at home. Wow. So Ohio State and USC are both going to the Rose Bowl for regular season games, and then UCLA is going to be at Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, and Rutgers. UCLA at the Big House.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's gonna be interesting seeing UCLA football going east.
It's so weird.
USC not as much. I think it'll probably hit more when I see UCLA playing against
Michigan
in basketball or something, even or the Indianas, just those historic basketball teams, universities. So yeah, it's a cool thing, man. A lot of change, and I'm excited for it.
The last time Michigan went to USC, 1958.
It's been a minute.
College football is so pathetic when it comes to scheduling. God, they're pathetic. I'm so glad we're finally changing some of this. Maybe we can actually feel good about it once we find out where the SEC is headed. Maybe SEC and Big Ten will be leading the way on this, and we'll get some good rotating schedules. All right, that story's out there today in the from the Big Ten. Coming up at 1, Zay found another interesting NFL list. We'll talk some NFL quarterbacks coming up next hour. Next, though, into Crap Bag, the almost fight that I saw at a concert and why it did not happen, plus actual fights I can guarantee you that will happen on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
It's a song that brings up some special feelings for a lot of folks. This is a specific time in life right here. How do you not love Still of the Night by Whitesnake? I mean, come on.
Yo, this is cold, man.
David Coverdale with those pipes, maybe at the height of his talent. Some other fans may argue differently. Maybe it was further back than that. This is my David Coverdale, though. Adrian Vandenberg on guitar. Tommy Aldridge always looking like he was 85, but he was always one of the best drummers on God's earth. Rudy Sarzo on bass. Wow, this is a I saw this Whitesnake lineup open for Motley Crue, and it was tough for the Crew to follow.
Yo, listening to this, I bet.
Yeah, it was. And the chicks, the ladies, oh, they wanted some David Coverdale that night.
Yeah.
My man showed up in some leather pants that only he could wear at the time. Oh, my God. Whitesnake and Rod Stewart getting us started today on the musical side. I got a musical story coming up from this concert last night. First, let me just get you a quick update on the Super Regionals since we are in that mindset. Bottom of the sixth, 3-all between Duke and Virginia. You got the other games starting later, the TCU games at 4, South Carolina, Florida at 5, and 7 o'clock for Oral Roberts and Oregon. Longhorn fans, you know you're tomorrow afternoon, 5 o'clock against Stanford. Problem is, we don't know about Sunday yet, and Monday is an if necessary, of course. We don't know. So just keep it right here. Go to TexasSports.com. Follow social media. Follow Craig Way on Twitter. That's a good way to do it because you know when Craig finds out, he's going to let everybody know, and we'll all be retweeting Craig. So I think it's at Horn Voice now for Craig.
Yeah, Seaway got hacked a while ago.
Had to change it because somebody hacked him, and they wouldn't give it back. And Twitter's so weird about that stuff. So
yeah. Hey, Seaway, how about not having "say goodnight to it" as a password? That's probably not a good look.
That's funny. That is good.
Yeah.
He changed from Light the Tower to that, probably.
Yeah, probably an easy pick.
That's a good call. I get to see a bunch of drunk Texas fans trying to hack Craig Way. Say goodnight to it. Yeah, to do that. Just say goodnight to it. It's going to be it. Guaranteed. All right, let's get you the story from last night and a story for this weekend in the crap bag.
Chad's Crap Bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Y'all know I love when people are punching people. When it's scripted, unscripted, agreed to, whatever it is. I like it when it's agreed to. Scripted or unscripted, as long as we agree to it, I'm good, especially when I'm not involved. I've never been in an actual fight myself. I've never been closed fist punched in my face, ever. Knock on wood, I'm 48 years old. But I love watching a fight, and I thought I was going to get one last night. Zay, I went over to Coda last night, me and my man Rick Sacamano, for the Weezer show.
Nice.
Weezer, Modest Mouse, and Mama was the bill. Mama was pretty good. Hadn't heard of Mama before. All right, so I get there early. Sacamano's late. We're on the lawn for probably the last time because we spent half the time bitching about how our backs hurt. That's how you know you're too old.
Yeah.
And out at Coda, they're all Austin weird about it. They don't rent chairs. I was ready to pay for it.
Right.
I've rented chairs on the lawn, and it's luxurious. I love it. Love it. Really helps the back, especially when you're old like me.
Can you bring in a chair?
No. Can't bring a chair. Only can bring a blanket. So I bring the blanket. I get us a nice spot up front because I'm thinking he's late. I'll go get us a spot. I'll stake it out. All you have to do is throw the blanket down and everybody's cool. But there was a guy standing right behind me kind of marking his territory for people that were coming later. Because sometimes you have to be the marker and they're coming with the blanket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like a lane in the movie theater.
There you go. So he was the scout and he was standing there behind me. Very respectful to me. Because he knows if he gets seen yelling at me, they'll get on him for probably yelling at an elderly person and whatever. He looked at me like I was 80.
Yeah, how old were these people? Like, what's the range here?
I'm going to say these two guys I'm talking about are like 20s, 30s.
Okay.
Weezer's got an interesting swath of people. Saw a lot of parents and kids and things like that. Okay, so from behind me, I hear this other guy walk up, and they're going to have a little discussion about the spot and can I get here and were you here first? Zay, within 10 seconds of them starting to interact, one of them made a reference about the size of the other one's manhood.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, whoa, in my mind, here's what I'm thinking. All right, we may get a little something going here. So I was getting ready to turn around to not stop them, watch them go through whatever they were about to. It took about 20 seconds. 20 to 30 seconds for the first interaction. He made the reference about the manhood. Oh, really? Oh, yeah? That's how it's going to be? And I thought, oh, here we go. We're heating up. We're heating up.
Yeah, you got to go in a little bit more detail about reference the manhood, because this is interesting. We're at a Weezer concert. Let's keep that in mind. We're at a Weezer concert.
His reference was, oh, must be that short D energy.
There you go.
That's how he said it.
All right.
So then it turned into a little argument back and forth, and I felt like, okay, I didn't hear any pushing and shoving. And then it felt like they kind of separated. There also was a girl somewhere involved with one or both of them, so that can always help. Sometimes the ladies can calm it down and not heat it up. So then I'm thinking, my God, am I about to see a fight at a Weezer show? I didn't even know there were fights at Weezer shows. Then I realized, wait, what am I hearing now? Then the guy who really got heated first comes back to the guy, apologizes. This is within a minute. Apologizes, and then they go into this long, drawn-out, where you from, what do you do for a living? It turned into like a dating app conversation. What? Oh, well, where are you from originally? Well, I'm an Army brat, or a military brat. Oh, really? What branch? Blah, 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 blah. And they went back and forth, and then one of them offered to buy the other one a beer.
See, that's what we need.
And they went to like, no, man, we're good, really quick. So then I thought, oh, this is how stuff gets resolved at a Weezer show. So to Weezer and all their fans, well done.
Yeah.
Well done, because I've been to a few metal shows in my time, and that is not how it gets resolved at Motorhead or AC/DC or Van Halen. But apparently that's how Weezer fans deal with it.
So the one that came back to apologize, was that the one with the woman?
Yes.
Makes sense.
But it was also the one that he's the one that took that reference. The one who said that about small D energy,
right?
The one that said it is not the one that apologized.
Yeah.
The other one came back. I guess the woman said, you got to go. She probably said, hey, you go apologize because I got to be close to Weezer tonight.
Yeah.
You're not messing my spot up. So anyway, they go through all that. I was impressed. By the way, Weezer put on a hell of a show last night. It was cool to see from kind of a different perspective, somebody else's massive band. I dig Weezer. I'm not the biggest Weezer fan on earth. I know a lot of the stuff. The set was incredible. The stage looked awesome. Rivers Cuomo is a talented, talented dude. And for what they do, that's a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Hell of a show. They did a good job. So credit to them for not fighting. But let me tell you about people that are fighting this weekend. We're hitting UFC 289 this weekend, and one of my favorites of all time, and one of the legends, maybe the GOAT when it comes to UFC, Amanda Nunes. The Lioness is back, kids. She's defending the 135 belt. It was going to be against Pena again, but Pena got hurt. So it's Irene Aldana. Irene, I see that you're 35, just like Nunes, but Nunes is 35. Might be a little different than yours. This could be interesting. I believe she is a Mexican fighter, just like Pena. So that's for the 135 belt. Amanda Nunes, the only UFC fighter ever to have two belts at the same time and defend them at the same time. She's defended this one 5 times. She's defended the other one twice. And Zay, here's my favorite Amanda Nunes stat that I saw today. This tells you how big of a dog she is. When she fought Ronda Rousey, Rousey was going to get the belt back that everybody thought she deserved, and oh, look out, Amanda, and there's no way. Amanda knocked her out in less than a minute.
Yikes.
Then she fought Chris Cyborg in a super fight. Everybody thought, what are we going to do? Chris Cyborg had taken that 145 belt and defended it twice, and she's a Brazilian monster, and nobody thought Amanda could even get close. Amanda knocked her out in less than a minute. She knocked them both out in less than a minute.
Yeah, when her face swells up, it swells up. Like, man.
Amanda's a beast. She'll fight tomorrow night. Also, Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush is the co-main. That's a nice fight at 155. The rest of it kind of waters down after that. So you got to dig those 2 fights if you're going to get the pay-per-view. It is your normal ESPN Plus pay-per-view, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. So I'm rooting for the Lioness, Amanda Nunes, one of the craziest good fighters that we have ever seen, and certainly the most dominant female fighter UFC has ever had. There is your crap bag, and shout out again to those guys guys who didn't fight. Although, I'd have been watching if you had, gentlemen. However you want to deal with it. 1 o'clock hour coming up. In the NFL, Zay has found a list. Active NFL quarterbacks with the most game-winning drives, I believe, is the list that he has. Every time he brings me one of these lists, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I start to wonder, wonder where Dak is on that list. We'll find out if he's on it next on The Horn. Hour number 2 on a Friday. Just let the Curtis Mayfield wash over you. We hope you are having a great weekend so far. Maybe it's already underway. Maybe you got out early. You're headed to a bar. You're headed to a sports bar. You're a college baseball freak, and you're just watching super regionals, in comfortable clothing with a rack of ribs. I don't know. I'm trying to paint a weird picture here. Whatever you do. 4-3 Virginia, middle of the 7th. We got crazy cool text coming in on the Specs text line, 337-3776. I'll get to a couple of those. We'll get to this NFL deal, but we now have another Zion Williamson update. Zay, is there another woman on the list? What is going on?
Nope. The New Orleans Pelicans, shout out to y'all for protecting y'all's players.
Okay.
They just put out a picture of Zion with a couple other suits, and it says Zion Williamson has partnered with the Jefferson Parish Schools for Summer Bridge program. The program will provide students with additional opportunities for accelerated learning and growth during the summer.
Lesson 1, break their phone. Break for lunch. We'll be back for lesson 2 after that. Lesson 1, figure out if they're trying to get you for the right reasons. Wow.
Yeah, make sure you're in love or something, or strap up, whatever.
There's no way to know. There's no way to know in his world. That's the dangerous part of it, man. Dangerous part. One of my favorite comments I've ever heard from an athlete was, I didn't hear it directly, but it was one of those, somebody I knew somebody I knew. I think it may have actually been through, I think it was a Westlake path of Kevin Dunn through Chris Mim. I think maybe where this story kind of comes from.
Mim.
But there was somebody that went to Michael's camp back in the day, and they were doing a Q&A, and somebody asked about marriage, girls, all those different things. And Michael Jordan admitted to that group of kids, to this day, I want to believe that my wife loves me for me, but I have no idea.
Oh, that's rich, MJ.
I understand. But the comment on its face was interesting to me.
Right.
That an athlete, because sometimes people want to rip on the Patrick Mahomes of the world, right? Because he married a girl that he knew before he kind of became big, and she's not a drop dead 10. She's pretty, she's hot, but she's not a 10.
Right.
And people think they all deserve 10 somehow.
Yeah.
Or what's the cat in, I think Mike Trout might also have one of those situations. There's multiple guys that have had those, and people love to make fun of them. Come on, couldn't you upgrade? Dwayne Wade upgraded. All right, fine.
Oh, yeah, he did.
And he did, right. But at least those guys know that those girls love them for them.
Yo, LeBron.
Theoretically, they loved him before they started to become a big deal.
LeBron's been with his current wife, Savannah, ever since they got out of high school. And I want to say he married her around 2012.
Right.
2013. They had kids together. Bronny's about to go to college.
Uh-huh.
That's her son. But they married late. So who knows what she allowed Bron to do, what she was cool with, because everybody looks at LeBron as this saint. Oh, look how he treats Savannah, which he doesn't embarrass her. I give her that. But it took him a hot minute to put that rock on her finger. And I salute Patrick Mahomes. What he's doing with Brittany Matthews and stuff, yeah, that's beautiful. Shout out to him. But
no, the Zion thing is very complicated. He's got to be careful here. But I'm with you. Well played by the Pelicans. A little Friday media dump letting us know that he's doing good stuff for kids in New Orleans.
He's a good guy.
Good guy.
He's a good man.
Hey, good guys can be freaky.
Yeah.
Good, and in this case, good guys can maybe be freaky and sloppy and freaky, unorganized and freaky.
Right. See, y'all hear I'm not going to say porn star, but sex worker. Let's say that.
Former adult film star.
Exactly. Former adult film star, now making her own on OnlyFans. And the one that just came out today, they both claim that Zion is a sex addict. That's not a good look. Yeah, you might have to see somebody for that.
Hey, there's a rough world. That's a rough combo. And I know people love to make fun of that too. But think about it. If you look in general the way those guys look, and you could be diagnosed with sex addiction, and you travel around in those situations, if you're a sex addict and you're an overweight, sloppy dude that drives a UPS truck, okay, you could end up in some situations.
Right, but you probably have a better chance of beating it.
But maybe because there's not as many opportunities every day.
Yeah.
If you're an NBA basketball player And you're a sex addict? Like, if you're a legit sex addict and you're walking into hotel lobbies, oh, my God. Dude, that's
they might have to have somebody with Zion at all time as the ultimate block.
That's crazy. All right, so we'll keep an eye on the Zion Williamson story because there are a lot of folks keeping their eyes on him right now. We talked NBA Finals earlier. Game 4 is tonight. Will the Denver team start to feel even more dominant? Will it start to feel like Shaq, Kobe, Laker kind of stuff winning a finals if they can win tonight and then win in 5? It'll certainly feel different than if it goes 6 or 7. We'll continue to talk about that. We've got the Big Ten football story out there, the schedule for 2024. Go check it out. USC, UCLA, we know where they're going to play. Don't have dates and times yet, but we know the home and road schedule for those teams. And the other thing, the other thing I'm looking for in terms of a scheduled game that I think is cool is I assume we're still getting that Texas at Michigan game in 2024. Just want to make sure that one's on the schedule because that's cool. Zay, I love the idea of them getting together. The night of Vince versus Steve Breston is the only time it's ever happened.
Wow, in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, like ever. They've never played other than that.
I never thought about it, but you're right.
One of those other, like, college football is pathetic in their scheduling. It's the one thing they don't know how to do over the years, but that is going to be incredible. So hopefully we get to lock that one down in the next week or so, to know that that's going to happen. But you can go check out all those other games, too. All right, Zay, so I'm starting to sense this pattern when you start to bring an NFL list to me, to the show, and to the people, and it involves quarterbacks. I just get this nervous feeling as a Cowboys fan that you're setting me up for some kind of Dak Prescott thing. Is that what we're doing here?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe, but this isn't bad. Like,
okay.
This is the most game-winning drives for active players who are still playing quarterback right now in the league. Whether you're starting or not, there's guys on there that qualify for both. But yeah, if you're on this list, that's a good sign.
So do you have a nerdy explanation for me of what game-winning drive means?
I'm guessing being down or tied in the fourth quarter, and it's the last drive to win the game or overtime.
Could be overtime, right? Okay.
Yeah, so whether that's putting your team in position for a field goal and you win the game, or just flat out winning on a game-winning touchdown.
So the game-winning drive. Like if I orchestrate the game-winning drive, but I do it in the middle of the second quarter and we win 14-7. Is that a game-winning drive?
That don't count.
It has to be fourth quarter overtime.
Has to be fourth quarter. Has to have a lot of pressure on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. All right. What we got here? You got a top 10?
Yep, top 10.
This is top 10 currently.
And
active in the NFL.
And what we've debated this week, this might help a lot of people say, see y'all, I told you. So,
all right, so let's start with 10.
Number 10.
Andy Dalton. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Tell me who's 10.
You'd be surprised about that name, Chad. You're going to see it very soon. Number 10, Josh Allen. 15 game-winning drives since he's been in the league.
Interesting. Okay, Josh Allen with 15. All right.
Number 9, here comes the I told you so, fellas. Dak Prescott, 19.
19, okay.
So Dak's been in a little bit longer than Josh Allen, right? Not much. Maybe a year.
I think that's right.
So, but not much.
Okay.
Still, Dak has 19. Josh Allen has 15. Number 8. Here's when it starts becoming a little shocking.
Okay.
Joe Flacco.
Is that right?
Yep.
How about Flacco?
Flacco, man.
Oh, they love to dog out Flacco, but he does have that ring to show him, doesn't he?
It's weird when you see all the Super Bowl winners and then it gets up to that, like, Ravens team and you see that, like, the quarterback difference between all the rest of the guys who won the Super Bowl and this, like, Hall of Famer, Joe Flacco, Hall of Famer. Yep. It's bananas.
Dude, Joe Flacco and Trent Dilfer need to do a podcast one time. Just let him bitch for about an hour about how nobody respects him.
And he got paid. Like, after they won that Super Bowl, they gave him some serious paper. And you thought just with his size around 6'6" and that arm, you thought he would be that next superstar, but it never panned out for him. But still, he deserves respect. Number 7, Ryan Tannehill. 26 game-winning drives since your Aggie brother has been in the National Football League.
You say 26?
26!
How many was Flacco again?
25.
25, okay. 26 for Tannehill. I'm telling you, that good and bad Tannehill has its good moments. The good Tannehill can be really good. It's just that the bad can also be what the hell's going on bad.
Yeah, and it's ironic because he could probably put his team in horrible situations in the first 3 quarters where they have to come back, and then all of a sudden they do.
That's a factor too.
And,
That's part of it.
And I think it still counts, Chad, if it's a game-winning drive and you're moving the chains and like you get about 3 or 4 completions to move the chains and get first downs and stuff, and then you can hand it off to Derrick Henry, and I think that counts. Like, I think like, for him to like score a touchdown, I think that counts because you're driving. You're like it should.
Oh yeah, no. As long as if the drive gets you the win, you get that credit. Absolutely. You don't have to throw for it.
Right. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
I bet Derrick Henry, he probably deserves a little bit of the credit for Ryan Tannehill having those game-winning drives. At 6, Kurt, you like that Cousins.
Is that right?
28.
Good for him.
Which they might have all came this past season. How many times they had to come back in 2022.
Remember, good point. That one score mark for them. Remember that where they were like 10 or 11-0 in one score games?
Yeah.
Again, it's way too many for me as a fan, but if he's that good at it, 28 among active guys, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's impressive.
That's crazy.
Number 5, the name that you just threw out there like you were joking.
Shut up.
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton's 5?
29.
Whoa.
Again, those really good years where he was a Pro Bowl quarterback with Cincinnati and throwing it to A.J. Green and those boys.
Go ahead, Red Rocket.
It makes sense.
Come on, TCU.
Yeah, man. That dude out of Katy, Texas, number 29.
And that's another good example. I'll put him kind of in there with Tannehill. The good version of him can be pretty damn good.
Right.
It's just that when it goes bad, it's like, whoa.
That's why, like I mentioned yesterday, he is a perfect backup for the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young.
Yep.
Like, I don't think he's one of those guys that's salty that Bryce Young has come in. I think he understands that, hey, I've had my time in the league and I love football so much. I'm just glad to be on the roster and I'm going to help this young dude any way we can.
That's a great point. And back to Tannehill, I think when he's comfortable with it and teams are comfortable with it, later on, before the end of his career, I think Tannehill's going to be a badass NFL backup.
Yeah.
He's going to be the backup that you do not want to mess with.
You better get ready because this is going to be this year.
Yeah, it's not that far away.
Yeah, I'd tag Levis over him. Why not? Like, if they're kind of rebuilding, they don't know what they're going to do with Derrick Henry. Like, there's no need to pretend that Ryan Tannehill's the future or keep him along. Like, maybe Will Levis might come in week 5 or so, but I don't know about that.
Hey, I'll say it right now. If you can mix the good part of Levis's arm and the good part of Ryan Tannehill, you might be able to win that division.
You got something.
you may win the division. I don't even know.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah.
All right, this is where it starts making a lot more sense.
All right.
Number 4, Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, there's that guy.
31 comeback drives and winning drives, excuse me.
Did you say 31?
31.
31.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
12 more than Dak during the time period? That's silly. I'm not trying to just pick on Dak. I'm just trying to compare.
Well, no, it's not during the time period. It was Aaron Rodgers been in the league for almost 20 years.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It's active, but it's their whole career.
Yeah, it's their whole career.
Sorry, my bad, Dak.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to.
That's why it makes Dak's look so good.
It really does. My bad, 4. You're the man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're my quarterback, 4.
Number 3, Derek Carr. 33 game-winning drives.
Is that right?
So
now that is interesting to me. In much less time, that tells you Derek Carr's been in some trouble. But to get his team out of it that many times, 33?
33.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 2.
Yes.
Russell Wilson, 35.
Russell at 35.
Which I felt like that's all he did in Seattle was having like game-winning comeback drives and close games and stuff. Like that makes a lot of sense. He did that a lot, and when he was good, I know last season he was trash, but those Seattle teams that he had, like he made them go. And he had complete control of that Pete Carroll offense.
All right, you're going to blow my mind if we're not working our way towards Mahomes.
He's not in there.
He's not top 10.
I mean, when you're up by 20 all the time, why do you have to come back?
Okay, let me think then.
Beating teams by 15 plus and stuff.
Is it Tom?
No. Well, he's not active, but no.
Oh, you're right. Tom's not active.
Yeah.
Active NFL quarterback.
And this is by a long shot. This guy has 42 game-winning drives since he entered the league.
Oh, my God. Okay, so he's been obviously.
So he's old.
He's old. He's been around a while. Matt Ryan?
Close on the name. Just switch out the last name, keep the first.
Matt Stafford?
Matt Stafford.
Shut up. What's the number?
42!
Oh, you just 42.
42!
Matt Stafford. Go ahead, Texas boy.
Like, they winning that much in Detroit?
42. That is a fascinating list. I'm really glad you brought this up because as you were getting there, I thought, well, it's got to be Mahomes. Mahomes has got to be the guy. You bring up a good point, though. It all balances out to, are you trailing? If you're blowing people out, you don't need a game-winning drive. See, that's where, if as a fan, I don't necessarily want to hear that my guy – I want to hear my guy has them and he can do it. Don't tell me he's got a ton of them, though.
Yeah.
He's got 95. Oh, my God. We've been in that situation 90-something times.
Yeah, how nerve-wracking are you during all these games if
Right.
that's the case?
But there's obviously that whole clutch thing that comes into play. Those are some great numbers, though, because you're going to need to do that. This is a quarterback's league even more than it's ever been, and there are just going to be – it's the NFL. That's the other thing. This is not college football, so I wouldn't even compare this to like a one-score game stat in college football. What I thought was so crazy about the Vikings last year was you're in a league that is almost designed to have close games. That's what's great about an NFL Sunday.
Yeah, so much parity.
So many things are close. So you're going to have to figure that out. If you don't know that it's going to be fourth quarter and you're down or tied and you need to go do something, you need a different job. This is not for you. And these guys obviously have been the ones that are stepping up. But I would not have guessed a couple of those in the middle. I would not have guessed Cousins and Dalton would have been on that list.
Yeah, they're right behind each other. Andy Dalton, 29, Kirk Cousins, 28. And, yeah, pretty incredible. I think Dak is in the right spot. Like 19, if I was a Cowboys fan, I feel good about that.
Yeah.
I'd feel good about that because, again, Dak got a lot of heat this past year with those 17 picks and while missing 5 games to where they're now offensive coordinator / head coach is straight, well, not offensive coordinator, but play caller is straight up saying, yo, we got to run the football more, not only to help us, but also protect our defense. And Dak is still capable. He's not the same since the foot injury. And I wish he ran a little bit more.
Yeah,
but I could see having PTSD from that. Like, I've never had my neck or my foot snapped in half or turned to the complete other side. I bet you it changed the way I walked. Like, walked upstairs if that happened. Let alone
it was
play
horrifying
football.
Injury.
Yeah, so we're telling this dude to get back out there and play the same way you did before the injury. That's not necessarily fair, but at the end of the day, if you want to get past the San Francisco 49ers, you need him to be better. The Cowboys have done that in the offseason with the moves that they made. I still think they need to take a look at Dalvin Cook because those 4 other running backs in there from Malik Davis, Ronald Jones, Tony Pollard, and Deuce Vaughn, that doesn't do anything for me. So take a serious look, Jerry and Steven, at Dalvin Cook, because that could take you from still kind of, being in the same conversation as San Francisco and Philadelphia, and maybe adding a guy like that, a perennial Pro Bowler, it could take you over the top because you have so many things to deal with on that offense.
Somebody texted, hell, I can't believe they won 42 games with him as the quarterback. Right. I mean, I'm not trying to dog Stafford. He's got a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He is a Super Bowl champion. I get that, but I just wouldn't have thought he was number one.
He might be the only Super Bowl champion with an overall losing record.
Is that right?
I don't know for a fact, but think about those Lions days.
Wow.
When they weren't making the playoffs.
That's an interesting
and they were
thing to look
struggling.
up. Wow.
Like, he might be one of the few Super Bowl winning quarterbacks that as a starter has a straight up losing record. Like, I'd be shocked if he had a winning percentage. I really would. That'd be nuts for me. Even with Calvin Johnson and all those, guys here. Well, not all those. It was Calvin Johnson and then others, but still.
I'm looking up. Sorry for my computer there. Yeah, I don't see wins and losses here, but that is that's a wild stat to think of. Yeah, we need to try to figure that out.
Yeah, somebody help us on that.
Yeah, that's a little bit more research than I'm willing to do. My God, he was in Detroit forever. Good grief. Matt Stafford on top of that list. Interesting stuff there. All right, we close in on the NFL. By the way, how about 93 days till the first Sunday and an even 90 till the first NFL game? We're 90 days away from Chiefs Lions. Speaking of the Detroit Lions, it's Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions trying to deal with the defending champs. They're going to go banners, and probably rings are already be out by then, but they'll go banner night on that Thursday with the Lions and the Chiefs. That is 90 days away. All right, coming up, we'll get you a flex segment, baseball scores, and don't forget the Westlake. The Westlake 7-on-7 was this morning, I believe. But Westlake trying to get into that championship game. Zay is a big. Who's they playing? Pearland. You're a Pearland fan today?
Yes, I am. Let's go, the Big P.
Let's go, P.
Let's get it.
That's what they say at Austin P, right?
Yeah.
Let's go, P.
Yeah, I know I'm listening to B&E this morning. I know our guy Ty Henderson and Derek Cohen are going to the game. I might just sit by them just to heckle.
It's going to go get
Just
on. Yeah,
just go and just heckle. Yeah, it's part of the game. Kick me out if you want to. Or I know there's a very wealthy parent in the stands. Give me a hundo and I'll leave. How about that?
Oh, my God. That is fantastic.
How about that?
All right, flex segment coming right up. This is The Horn. All right, let's talk a little Apple leasing. If you are out there and you're looking for a new car or truck, this is the easiest way to do it. You're going to be paying for the part of the car that you are using. You're going to be getting that new car feel because you're always going to be in a newer car. You're going to be in the car that's going to have you protected with warranties and all of that. Plus, on the front end, you're going to have all the rebates, all the sales, all the selection advantages, everything that the dealerships can get you. Apple Leasing can get you. They are connected with all the dealerships. They're going to find you the discounts and incentives that the dealers would get you. They're just going to make it even more simple. They're going to take the hassles away for you. They're going to make you, in the comfort of your own home, they'll allow you to sign everything electronically with DocuSign, just like I did. That was so simple. Don't have to go to a dealership and sign paper after paper after paper. They'll also deliver right to your driveway if that's what you need them to do. They can drive away your trade-in as well. Easiest and safest way to get a new car. Any make, any model, any car, any truck, and just call them anytime. 346-9977. That's 346-9977, or go to appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
This song sounds like it won't hurt anybody.
Oh, yeah, a little yacht rock for you.
This song does not want to hurt anybody. I just got to figure out who it is here. We getting any vocal? Do we have some vocal?
Should be coming right here.
Safe vocal. Where is it? Come on. Oh, good Lord.
Come on, man.
Dude, they don't even let you listen to this kind of stuff wearing shorts at a concert. You got to wear a suit to listen to stuff like this. Christopher Cross. I have no idea.
Marty Ballin.
Who?
Is that how you pronounce it?
Marty who?
Ballin? Ballin? I don't know. Balin?
Spell it.
B-A-L-I-N.
I have no idea. Marty Balin.
Yo, he looks smooth on the cover. Like, he's wearing a suit and he's like, has his arms crossed like this.
You know what? My granddad was a farmer and he did plenty of hay baling. So B-A-L-I-N, I'm going to say Balin. I'm going to say Marty Balin to make him sound a little cooler. Oh, good Lord, was I not listening to that. You got a year on that thing?
Oh, I do not. Somebody say he's a former Jefferson Starship singer.
Ah, gotcha.
So this is him solo.
Gotcha. Maybe you should have stayed on that ship. All right.
Oh, come on. This is heat.
That is not true. There's no need to say stuff that's not true.
This is fire. This is it.
This is fire. Oh, my God. All right. So that's like you telling me, that's like me in the middle listening to the Ludacris album. This is the most intense, hardcore gangster rap that's ever been made. I'm not believing you on that one. It's fun as hell, though. This one, though, not as fun. Marty Balin, Whitesnake, and Rod Stewart is what we've had so far on the show today.
See, Tom McKay knows. He's giving us game.
Tom McKay knows Marty Balin?
Yes.
You go, Tom.
That's how I know it's legit.
Whatever lights you up musically, that is so cool. By the way, shout out to all those parents that are taking their kids to concerts. I feel like there's more of it than I used to see when I was a kid. As somebody whose dad took me to so many concerts, I'm so grateful for it, even if they never thank you for it. Parents, keep taking your kids to concerts. I love. And by the way, Zay, they're throwing the Drew Brees earmuffs on these kids now.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even realize that. I saw teenagers last night with the earmuffs on.
That's interesting.
Because my group they still do it. My group looks a little crosswise at me when I put the earplugs in. If I do, I always take them to the shows just in case. Mm-hmm. And last night I used earplugs because, again, I'm not massively into the stuff I was watching. Plus, I got to preserve. I got too many concerts on the board. I do this every day. I got to protect the ears.
Yeah.
So I put the earplugs in, and normally everybody's rolling their eyes. Look at this old man. Last night, I look around, and I got Drew Brees kids all around me. Like Drew Brees kid at the Super Bowl, everywhere. Cans on. Got the earmuffs. Noise canceling, baby. They were taking naps behind me on the lawn. It was like they brought their kids, like 10, 12-year-olds taking naps.
Yeah. It's
crazy. So shout out to all those parents doing that and listen to whatever music you want to. Don't let anybody tell you what music you shouldn't listen to. I'll be glad to tell you if I don't like it, but that's my right to do that. It's your right to say, screw you, Chad. I'll listen to whatever I want.
Yeah, one of the smartest things Drew Brees has done as a father is not have his kids enroll in the Eanes ISD school district and keeping them in Louisiana. Great move, Drew. Terrific father. Terrific father right there. You know what I'm saying?
How dare you? Speaking of Westlake, let's get them the Flex segment, Zay, and talk about your favorite baseball team.
Sure.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
All right, some finals from yesterday. Some of those games we were talking about. Magnolia West ended up winning their semifinal. China Springs beat Liberty Islo. That was a close one, 3-2. Argyle over Bernie Champion. And as we told you yesterday, Abbott got the state title by beating Fayetteville. So Argyle and Magnolia West in 5A. That'll be tomorrow. It's a final. Boyd over Maypearl. 8-7 was the final there. And at Dell Diamond at 4 o'clock this afternoon, it is semifinal number 1. So if you're a Westlake fan and you want to scout the potential opponent for the championship game. Get out there for Flower Mound and Cypress Woods. So this says Louisville Flower Mound. Is that Marcus, or is that two different schools? Isn't Flower Mound Marcus?
There is a Flower Mound Marcus. That's where Marcus Smart went to high school.
So maybe this is a different school. This says Louisville Flower Mound. So maybe that's Louisville High.
Maybe it's just Flower Mound. That's weird.
Or is it just
because there is Louisville High and there is just a Flower Mound? But you know that area more than I do. Isn't the area Flower Mound, or is that just a school name?
To me, the area is Louisville, and then the city's Louisville. Then you got the Flower Mound. I guess is part of it. Because I have a cousin. One of my cousins, I think, were split. One of them went to Louisville High, and the other went to Flower Mound Marcus, is what it was called.
Right.
It was Marcus High School.
Yes.
But this doesn't have a Marcus in it. By the way, this is a great test of whether or not Craig Way is listening to us in Stanford right now. Great test. Because he's scrawling out a text that's like a paragraph right now.
Getting us right.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
We ought to come up with dummy conversations like that every once in a while just to test Craig out. Like one day I should come on here and say I forgot my high school mascot and flip him out. Yeah. What are you talking about, Chad? Yeah, that's what we should do. Anyway, so best of luck to those schools because they may end up facing these Westlake Chaparrals or Pearland. Westlake and Pearland scheduled for 7 o'clock tonight in the semifinal. Get on out to the Dell Diamond. I think the weather's going to be pretty good for that. And we'll see if this Westlake Team A can keep it going. They haven't been to this round, this level, semifinals since like 2009. Been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. All right. Yeah. These guys, it seems like they win in every single sport. It's ridiculous.
But they haven't been like a monster in baseball.
Yeah, because
this hasn't been their thing necessarily.
Compared to football, I guess. But yeah, they got titles. They could say that. A lot of other schools can't. I want to say in the 80s, they have a few state championships in baseball. But y'all know I'm just a classic hater, being a Bowie guy. Westlake has haunted my dreams for years. But all in all, good luck to those kids. I know it's been a long season, and the fact that school is out and they're still playing, these are memories that they'll never forget. And Derek Cohen, who just texted me talking about he'll pay me to heckle, don't tip me, Derek. Because I'll do a lot for money, and heckling Westlake kids, that's mild.
No, I think he means he'll pay you to heckle Pearland.
Oh.
He's not going to pay. He's a Westlake
guy.
No,
he says Westlake fans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Derek's like you. He just wants to see entertainment.
He's going to pay you to walk over to sit with the Pearland people and then heckle back to Westlake?
Hey, pitcher, you're sweating a little hard there. How about you get your Gucci towel to wipe that off?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Hey, batter, who'd you get that bat from? Oh, is it signed by Ken Griffey Jr.? Okay. All right, I see you.
Is it wrong? Yeah. Is it wrong that when you said what you said about Gucci, I thought of T.I.'s song Gucci Rag? Is that wrong?
No. I'm glad you're in that hip-hop music state of mind. It's impressive.
Or just kind of sad.
It's impressive.
Do the young hip-hop fans care about T.I., or does that make me an old man? Does that make me sound old?
Yeah.
I kind of like that flow from T.I. And they're like, yeah, whatever, Grandpa.
He ain't that old, but yeah, the young guys, they ain't listening to T.I. like that no more.
Speaking of hip-hop, I saw a Juice WRLD shirt last night.
Oh, wow.
There was a weird mix of T-shirts. I love T-shirts at concerts, one of my favorite things. Tons of Weezer stuff, obviously, and they have a lot of varied shirts. But, I saw that. And it was like, whoa, Juice WRLD out of nowhere. And then it was a weird, mixture of different, Van Halen, AC/DC, and whatever. Saw a couple women in Social Distortion shirts.
Huh.
If I was single at that moment, I would have wanted to propose and run away screaming at the same time. Because that's a dangerous woman in both. I did not. Both those women could take care of themselves.
Right.
They did not need anyone to protect them last night.
Yeah,
that's a different kind of thing, right? Different kind of vibe right there. But I did see the Juice WRLD shirt last night.
Yeah, I like those graphic tees and stuff. It used to be a thing back in the day, and now this generation's brought them back. So I dig it.
There was also a dude walking around with a Royal Rumble shirt on. Pro wrestling fans just don't stop. They do not stop. Showing up at a Weezer concert with a Royal Rumble shirt on. Roman Reigns is right there on the front. It's like, all right, man, you go right ahead. All right, so there's your flex segment. We do it every day at 1. 30. Up next, Where We Are in Society with Zay. Coming up at 2, our weekly conversation with Jeff Ketchum of OrangeBloods.com. What's he hearing from summer workouts with Steve Sarkisian and the team? Is he hearing any of this stuff about changing signals or anything like that? What jumps out to him on that? And his thoughts on this Texas baseball team getting ready for Stanford in the Super Regional. Stay with us. It's The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
So like somebody's trying to tell me a story here. Like there's a story to be told, but I do not recognize it. What do you got, Zay?
Steely Dan.
Okay.
The Royal Scam, 1976.
This will be another one that Craig Way we'd know he was listening to us. He loves Steely Dan. He'd be mad at me for not knowing that one. Never a band I could identify. Nobody around me was a Steely Dan person.
It's a cold tune, man. I dig this.
I like again, it had a good attitude to start with.
Yeah.
That keyboard told you like, oh, something's up.
Right.
Right? This is not a good day. Something happened.
Yeah.
Something went down. I'm waiting for like police sirens to go off.
Right,
I feel like something's about to happen. What's it called again?
The Royal Scam.
Okay, see, there you go. Royal Scam. There's something going on. Steely Dan, Marty Balin, Whitesnake, and Rod Stewart on the show today. Our man Tom McKay of Audio Visual Consultations tells me that the Marty Balin cat was the guy you mentioned Jefferson Starship. So would have been, I don't know if he was all the way back to Jefferson Airplane, but maybe he was that guy. I just never learned his name from Jefferson Starship. But I will say, that song you played earlier, that sounds like one that Grace Slick would not have signed off on. So Grace, if you're out there, is Grace Slick still with us?
I don't know. Tom let us know. Tom said Grace kicked him out the band, though. Kicked Marty out the band for what?
He might have brought that song to her.
Does he quit doing coke and heroin?
I'm just saying. Grace, yes. Grace Slick, 83. You're damn right.
You don't got too many days left because of your ass.
That's not true. I love Grace Slick. Stop it.
That's because you love it. Don't mean you did it.
Stop it,
man.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Enjoy these last few days, dog.
Yes. No, not man. That's a woman. Grace.
Excuse me, Grace.
Grace Slick.
Excuse me.
One of the coolest, hottest chicks in rock history. Great voice. And yeah, she would have said no to that song. I'm just telling you. Grace, I'm with you. I'm on your side there. I'm on your side. All right. We got Jeff Ketchum coming up at 2:05. We'll talk some Longhorns and other stuff with him. Somebody, after I mentioned parents taking their kids to a concert, somebody texted us. I took my 17-year-old to see Cradle of Filth, my favorite band from high school. I don't think she looked at me the same since.
Yo.
Zay, when it comes to great band names, that one hits my list now. Cradle of Filth. Wow.
Yeah, that's different.
That's different. That's evocative right there.
When you said that about the parents taking their kids to these concerts and stuff, I went and tried to think of, did I ever have those moments with my folks? And I did not. And I went back and thought, why was that? And I remember, Chad, my mom during the 90s took my sister to a Robert R. Kelly concert.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really?
And maybe Bobby Brown, too. The Bobby Brown concert. And my mom always says this about Bobby brought out a freaking bed.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if it was in Houston or here in the ATX, but he brought out the bed, and he did things with the bed that probably a young high school teenager shouldn't see with their mother. So, LaShawn, I blame you for not having mama and pops take me to concerts because you ruined it for her having to see Bobby Brown's crazy ass.
So for the record, your sister is how much older?
I ain't gonna put her age out there,
but she's older than you.
She's older. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So basically, your mother was thinking, should I take Isaiah to this show? Because it'd be a really good experience. And then she flashed back, and all she could see was R. Kelly on stage singing Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And,
oh, gross.
And your sister standing next to her, and she thought, no. Yeah. That's a no. I'm not taking him to these shows.
How the hell wasn't that a red flag for the industry? Like, Robert, age ain't nothing but a number, bruh. Are you sure you want to put this out? And y'all just ran with it in the 90s. That was before my time. I don't claim that. That was before Ignition and all that stuff that I do claim when I started rocking with Robert. Clearly, y'all have never heard Robert on these shows, and y'all will never hear Robert on these shows. But, yo, age ain't nothing but a number. Like, that wasn't a red flag. That wasn't a sign.
Zay, that theme runs through popular music for a long time. That did not start with R. Kelly. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been a red flag. I'm with you. And every artist that ever sang about having sex with younger folks did not end up doing what R. Kelly was, ended up doing. Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's one of those when you look back and you go, oh, my God, that song? Oh, my Lord. How do we not know? Yeah. All right. Let's go. Well, where are we at in society? See what Zay wants to get into. Who knows? It may be R. Kelly. I don't know.
Where are we at in society today?
I'm guessing it's not. What do you got, Zay?
Okay, this story is absolutely hilarious. So shout out to Tay Dick, Stunt Devil, for throwing this video at me. I saw a little bit of it earlier, but I didn't pay much attention. And I know when he throws stuff at me, a la CB, I know it's gold. So one of the funniest duos together that you wouldn't expect to be funny, like in the sports world, is Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce.
Really?
They have such a great relationship during their Celtics days, and they flow well together on KG's podcast on Showtime, and they were watching Game 3 together, and it was being streamed via Showtime, I want to say.
Okay.
And it's Showtime. Let's keep that in mind, like HBO.
Wait, they can go full language?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, I got to check this out.
Thank goodness that they didn't, in this audio that I'm going to show you, or have y'all listen to. So KG's watching the game, locked in, watching it, and you could see Truth in this video, like looking to the side because it's just them on the camera. And he's like looking to the side, talking to somebody and like waving somebody to come over. Listen to who he waves over and how he introduces this person to Kevin Garnett.
Okay.
And we'll get back to our conversation.
All right.
Throw a wall in here and turn it up, you know what I'm saying?
Kevin.
Hey, how you doing?
Camille,
nice to meet you. Formula One everywhere, ain't it? Formula One everywhere.
This is my girlfriend for the day. They got a website that you can hire girlfriends for the day.
Stop, man.
And so I got a girlfriend for the day.
Stop, man. Stop.
You can hire girlfriends for the
Stop,
day.
Man.
I went on the website and I hired a girlfriend
right here. Look, Collins. There go Collins. Look at D-Wade at the game. Okay, D-Wade.
Yo, KG is so uncomfortable. KG's trying to move on. Like, dude, we are being paid to give our input on the game right now.
Okay, wait a second. When I'm hearing them reference like Dwayne Wade at the end and everything, is that where those guys are commenting on the live stream?
I want to say they're in Miami. I don't know for sure.
Oh, maybe they're referencing that Dwayne was on TV.
Yeah, he was on TV.
Okay.
I don't know. But they might be in Miami. They might be in Vegas. With what Truth said, Paul Pierce, it makes a lot of sense if they were in Vegas.
Okay, so who's Camille?
His girlfriend for the day.
Is he being serious? It sounded like he was almost making a joke about somebody they both knew. He literally was bringing like a rent-a-girlfriend on this podcast?
KG shook her hand like he's never met her before. And she did. He was like, nice to meet you. KG was very professional.
I'm Kevin.
Yeah, and then Truth, you heard him. This is my girlfriend for the day. And then he was going in detail about, you could go online, get a girlfriend for the day, and she's mine.
Well, okay, now let's be clear. Is Paul Pierce married?
I don't think so.
If he's
From that stripper video that he had when he was on ESPN that got him canned and he was smoking the chronic and stuff, I don't think so. If he is, then his girlfriend or his wife is pretty cool.
Now,
if that's the case.
Let's talk about boundary lines here. Are we all okay with the idea that in Vegas, God love Las Vegas for this, but the idea is that you could, I don't know, rent a companion?
Yeah, escort.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah. You don't have to go in the bedroom with them.
Well, no.
You could just bring them as eye candy or have somebody on your arm for an event.
It's okay to pay for that time. It's okay to pay them and they come hang with you. And you, like you said, you go to a convention. You go to whatever, right? You're a super nerd. I mean, you just can't get a date or you're too busy. You're going to get you have a hottie on your arm walking into a party. Is that cool with everybody? We good with that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. That doesn't make people that are weird about prostitution freak out?
I mean, she ain't doing nothing. You're paying her to hang out.
Okay. All right.
and look good on your arm.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird because what you just described, somebody that can't get a date, I'd be a little confused if Paul Pierce winning NBA championships and going to the Hall of Fame very soon, if he couldn't get a date, like he's still, I wouldn't say he's in the best shape, but decent looking brother out of Inglewood. I'm sure he could get a date. You don't have to pay for one or get one online.
But in his case, might he be just looking for temporary companionship that does not have any connections? He wants the temporary part.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Temporary.
Yeah. You don't want to wake up to the girl, or maybe he does, or maybe it's like a 24-hour thing and she has an alarm that says, all right, time's up, I'm gone.
What's his nickname again?
Truth.
There you go. He's in search of the truth. And the truth is, he doesn't sound like he wants a relationship right now. He's not in that place.
I'm going to send you the video so you can see
that's
KG's
wild.
Like the look on his face.
That is so funny.
But they're hilarious together. It's a great get for Showtime. I like watching them a lot.
That's cool. So people can tune in during Are they doing it tonight?
Probably. Yeah.
It's live on Showtime.
I don't know if it's live on Showtime, but there's some type of streaming thing that they do.
Are they making me pay, or if I'm a Showtime subscriber, do I get this?
I don't know the details.
Okay.
But I'm sure a little bit of money has to be put up.
I mean, I don't normally enjoy watching things that are Celtic related, but if you're telling me it's entertaining, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Especially if I don't have to pay extra.
I mean, you're going to see stuff like that, so it's definitely entertaining.
Yeah. As long as I don't have to pay extra is also what Paul talks about. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. All right, that's where we at in society. 2 o'clock hour coming up. Jeff Ketchum of orangebloods.com to start the hour. We'll talk some Longhorn stuff, getting ready for the Super Regional, and of course, getting ready for football. How about this, Longhorn fans? First game against Rice, 85 days away, and you're going to hear it right here on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, let's go hour number 3 on a Friday. Hope you're getting ready for a good weekend. We got a final in a super regional game. Tell you about that in a second. It's Chad and Zay. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. Picks out a special beat for all of us to start the third hour. What do you got, Zay?
Swangin' and bangin'. ESG.
ESG.
H-Town.
ESG. Stand for anything or just ESG?
I don't know. Y'all let me know. Y'all know that Texas hip-hop, Specs Texters, a lot of people. Swangin' and Bangin' is a classic, man.
Swangin' and bangin'?
Yeah, that's a classic.
I'm assuming it's spelled that way, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can't spell that swinging. You can't go swinging and banging. You got to be swanging and banging. ESG with a great beat to get us started this hour. Your final in the Super Regional. A lot of suspense just happened there. Duke beats Virginia 5-4. Zay, here's what happened. Duke is trying to finish the game. 2 outs. Virginia's got a dude at the plate. I do not know if a runner was on base. I'd have to double check that. He hit a long fly ball. He thinks it might be gone. He puts his hands on his head. He literally took his batting helmet off, but then he realizes right before he gets to first, oh, man, he might catch that. Outfielder catches it. Ball game. Duke beats Virginia.
That's brutal.
So it was that close, and I have to go back and double check there. If obviously there's a runner on base, it's a matter of win-lose, but at the very least, he was about to tie it up.
Yeah, if I'm Virginia and I'm hosting that Super Regional versus Duke, I do not like that matchup because that is a conference matchup in the ACC. That means you've probably seen them before. I don't know their scheduling, but most likely they've played each other this season. And if Duke's beaten Virginia, there's a psyche advantage that they might have that other schools don't.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think, there were 2 guys on base.
Brutal.
Oh, my God.
That's
there
brutal.
was runners on first and second. It would have won the game. He thought he had won the game. Oh, my God. All right, yes, he flied out with 2 runners on base. Excitement to end that first game. Texas will be a part of the excitement of the Super Regionals, but they're going to have to be patient and wait till tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock against Stanford. To talk about that and some other Longhorn stuff, let's hit the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. It's our weekly conversation with Jeff Ketchum of OrangeBloods.com. Ketch, what's up, man?
Gentlemen, it's good to be with you on this fine Friday.
Yes, sir. Always good. And you know what? Speaking of good, it just hit me as we're getting ready for this. We've been talking Texas baseball with you the last few weeks, and you've been giving us your honest take on this team that's had its ups and its downs. Boy, did they just pull off the best version of how to be up and down if you're going to do it. Be down for the conference tournament, get pissed off about it, and then come back and do that in the regional. How impressed were you with what they pulled off in South Beach?
I mean, that was the best version of Texas baseball that I think we can get of this team. And honestly, Chad, it goes back even further. If you go back to the last month, I can remember having the conversation about the West Virginia series where they won the opener, but it was like, okay, that's fantastic. But in order for it to mean anything, you got to win the next 2. Otherwise, it's kind of all for naught. And they did. So, yay, it's a high. And then the Big 12 tournament happens, and it's like, oh, no, we suck again. And then they come right back next week. And so part of me is a bit terrified for Texas fans, and that the natural progression of the way this team operates is that they won't be able to tie their shoes this weekend. But, man, if last weekend is an indication of where they're going to stay, then they probably have a better chance, I think, of winning this Super Regional than they did the Regional, simply because the Super Regional doesn't require you to potentially have to have 4 or 5 games worth of pitching. I mean, Texas can look at, if their 2 starters come out and wheel and deal like they did a weekend ago, this thing's got a chance to be over in 2. Stanford probably doesn't have the depth of pitching. So I mean, this is doable. And yet we know that this is a Texas baseball team that can turn doable into doo-doo. So I'm fascinated by what we see. Like, anything can happen.
Yeah, no, it's going to be wild. And Texas and Stanford getting together is always interesting.
Yeah, two big-time blue bloods when it comes to college baseball. Catch, what did you see out of David Pierce this last weekend or this previous weekend in Coral Gables that you didn't see in the Big 12 tournament?
His players, it all comes down to player execution. You know, we talked last week about, look, Texas fans need to prepare themselves for the fact that there are going to be high-pressure key moments in these games where players who have struggled, certainly we're talking about the bullpen more than anything else, that players that struggled are going to have to succeed in ways that they didn't in the regular season, and that's going to be part of this deal. It's going to be part of the deal this weekend. What did Pierce do? Like, I don't know. He rubbed his 4-leaf clover. Like, on some level, you know, it's not his fault when guys either throw pitches or don't. And last weekend, his guys threw pitches for strikes. They weren't letting guys get on base willy-nilly from the bullpen, right? And, you know, there's just so much about last weekend where it was like, oh, wow, this is what it looks like. When these boys play a mature brand of baseball, it was very easy on the eyes. We just know that we can't get too far ahead of ourselves because we've seen this team for months now going back to February, and it's like a potluck dinner. I don't know what I'm going to get, but they showed us last weekend that if they execute at the highest levels that they can, there's nobody that they can't beat. I mean, that team last weekend can win a national championship. It's just a matter of can we seriously say that those performances can be bottled up and counted on? A week ago, I would have said no. I think I'm hopeful going into this super regional, but none of us really know. And that includes Pierce. He cannot tell you that with runners in scoring position, they're going to get runs home, that they're not going to give away walks and guys getting on base and scoring on free passes and things like that. I mean, you know, I don't know how much of this of the down moments I blame on Pierce, but I also don't know that in these high moments he did anything other than sit back and watch his guys where you would give him the credit is that a lot of these guys have struggled to execute all season long. And clearly, from a leadership standpoint, from a captain standpoint, he's positioned these guys to retain their confidence when previous results might have indicated maybe they wouldn't. So I think a lesser coach and a lesser team would have been impacted by moments like the Big 12 championship. And instead, what we saw was a team that rose to the occasion after not doing so as previous as like 4, 5, 6 days earlier. So I think where I give him the most credit is having that team in a position to play the way they did when it would have been really easy to show up, go 2 and barbecue and say, well, this wasn't our year. This might not be their year, but their version of this might not be our year is playing in a super regional at the minimum. And I think that speaks to a lot of real positives about what Pierce has been able to build in 6-7 seasons.
Talking with Jeff Ketchum, orangebloods.com. Catch, we are 85 days away from the first Texas football game. Obviously, this is that time of year where fans will go on a vacation for a little while and maybe duck out and then duck back in and check in on message boards and all that kind of stuff. Right now, what has your big attention in terms of Texas football? Could be summer workouts. It could be recruiting. Where's your focus right now?
It's hard not to notice that they picked up a commitment last weekend from KJ Lacey, who I think is going to be a 5-star quarterback by all of the recruiting services by the time that kid signs with someone. I think he's going to be of that level. And I can't say that I watched a lot of out-of-state tape on 2025 kids. I mean, it's enough that I've got a state the size of Texas I'm trying to watch underclassmen play, and I got my eyes on 2024. So I hadn't really paid a lot of attention to KJ Lacey before last weekend. I got to be honest, I don't see a lot of film where my jaw kind of drops a little bit. And Lacey at his best, it's pretty freaking fun to watch. And knowing that he's from the state of Alabama, that I think he could easily be an Alabama commit right now, except Alabama got a commit from a top-ranked quarterback named Julian Sand in the 2024 class. I think they thought we can take our time a little bit in 2025. That probably led to Texas being able to get a commitment because this kid's got a wide receiver teammate who might be the best player in America. I mean, he's a legit 5-star, and he's ranked number 5 overall in the country for the 2025 class. This opens the door for Texas, I think, to get involved in that recruitment. This team has another defensive end in 2025 that is a national top 70, top 100 type player. So that this is all happening on Alabama's turf. A couple of days after Nick Saban name-checked Texas at SEC meetings by saying that Texas and Texas A&M and USC, they're trying to essentially buy a championship or buy success with money. That happened 48 hours later. A kid that, this kid in the modern era of Rivals.com, going back to 2002, based on where he's ranked right now, just right now, he'd be the 3rd highest ranked quarterback out of the state of Alabama in the last 2+ decades. Talking about Jameis Winston, talking about Bo Nix. That's at worst, he's the 3rd best. So this guy, by the time he's a senior, is probably going to be one of the most decorated high school football players in the history of the state of Alabama. That Texas has their hooks in him this early is the thing that's on my mind the most this week. It's very nerdy. It's very recruiting related. Doesn't say anything about this upcoming season, but the dynamics of that situation and what the next 2 years may look like in his recruitment, because Alabama is going to be, I think, at some point pretty hot and heavy after him in a way that they haven't yet been. It makes for incredible recruiting theater that we don't always see in quite this fashion. This is chess instead of checkers at the recruiting level, and I think the implications and the stakes involved are really, really high.
Yeah, it's definitely a big-time game. We've seen these last 2 years, Catch. You're going to need your backup quarterback, so I think it's very important to keep bringing those guys in. But I know you've seen the new Big Ten schedule for 2024 with USC and UCLA. The big one that stands out for me, USC and Michigan. Michigan going down to the Coliseum. Next week, the SEC rolls out their schedule for the 2024, and hopefully Texas and A&M, that matchup is on there. What are you expecting from next Wednesday?
I have zero expectations because how could you? I mean, if the SEC puts a mountain in front of Texas or Oklahoma. I saw one projected schedule for Oklahoma. I can't remember who did it, but it was online. It made its way over to Orange Bloods, and it had Oklahoma playing both Alabama and Georgia in year one. And I thought,
oh my God.
I thought, well, that's fun. And then I thought, God, Texas is at Michigan next year. So what if next year's schedule was at Michigan, Oklahoma on a neutral field, Georgia at home, and then at Alabama for what could be the second year in a row? Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
there's a world out there,
Catch,
where the schedule, yes.
Yeah, hey, I saw a projection that had Texas going to College Station, Baton Rouge, Auburn, and Michigan.
Yeah, no, look, there's a world out there where the schedule that they release in a couple of days, it dooms Texas in 2024 before they ever play a game, because at some point the schedule's just too much. And it makes I think the importance of this season really significant because if Sarkisian and company, let's say they don't win the Big 12 this year, and then they open up next year with just a hellacious schedule where going 8-4 is pretty damn respectable depending on exactly who you're playing. Texas fans aren't going to want to hear that. They're not going to want to hear that by the end of Sark's fourth year, he hasn't won a conference championship and that after year 4, they're still winning 8 games. It's so, and it's like, okay, well, Texas fans will be rational and reasonable. Okay, if you say so. I mean, Chad, you and I have been doing some version of radio and or like just internet coverage like for 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
This is a fan base. Like it goes back a while, right? But you can go back to 2001. Where in a 2 or 3 hour period, they went, hey, we're going to win our first Big 12 championship since, Mac's first Big 12. And then it was like, oh, no, we're going to play in the national championship against Miami. And then it was, oh, no, Chris. And then it was booing him off the field. And then it was almost winning the game. And then it was all of the aftermath of the phone calls. And, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We don't do rational and reasonable around here. We do up and down, and where we land, nobody knows. And so the schedule's incredibly important because if Texas gets a workable schedule, you can see a world with the talent that Sarkisian is putting together where maybe they can take off and soar in year 1. But is that what the SEC is going to give Texas? Like, that's never – my instincts are, they're going to make it tough. Nobody in the SEC wants Texas to win the SEC in year 1. That's kind of embarrassing. Just like if Cincinnati shows up this year in the Big 12 and wins the Big 12, that doesn't look good for anybody.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. You ask me what I expect the worst.
Wednesday night's going to be interesting, and that's good points. I can't imagine that the SEC would welcome Texas and Oklahoma, really either of them, with a welcoming schedule in that first year. So we'll see on that.
Hey, Chad.
Yeah.
Imagine the outrage, the protests, and the boycotts if the schedules come out for 2024 and Texas has a lighter-looking schedule on paper than A&M.
Right. Oh, right. Exactly. Yeah, because that's the other side of it, whether it's folks in College Station or folks in other SEC cities wondering, are they going to bring Texas and Oklahoma in and be nice to them and treat them like blue bloods and treat them like Bama and Georgia day one? Like, that's a concern, too. You're absolutely right. That's going to be fascinating. Wednesday night. By the way, Catch, I'm just checking. Do you know where SEC Network is on your TV? I'm just double-checking with all the folks that are covering Texas because I know you may not have been there a ton. You know where it is, right?
I've got that thing memorized.
Okay.
I watch A&M play all the time.
I know you do. I know you keep
and
up with those
occasionally
Aggies.
Those games are on the SEC Network.
Yes, occasionally you're right. They are. Real quick, before I let you go, because I just got to ask, are you, with your sources and practice report, finding out what's going on, are you hearing anything about Sark and signal calling and changing signals and all that kind of stuff? Is that on your radar? Does it matter to you?
I mean, that's been on my radar for months.
Okay.
I can't tell you what I know and what I've heard, but there's definitely been some conversation before this week that there were issues with potentially teams having specific knowledge of the playbook, signs, all of those things. And there's been specific allegations that it happened in the TCU game. The question that goes unanswered is, if it happened, how did it happen? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a question there that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Let's say in a hypothetical world, TCU had advanced knowledge. And I'm not even talking Gary Patterson like that.
Right.
That's not where my head is going.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, is there a former player? Is there something like that? These things happen, and they happen probably more frequent than we think. I have a baby question for you.
Okay.
Because Joker did his thing at the French Open today.
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
He loses a set, but then he goes 6-1, 6-1, and like basically makes the number 1 seed bow out in embarrassing fashion.
Yes, that's correct.
Who's going to end up being the number 1 joker?
Who's going to?
Because we got multiple big dog jokers in Jokic and Djokovic.
The Joker of basketball needs to start throwing some jewelry on it, and then it's him. But needs to be.
How many rings does he need to be the number 1 joker?
Based on, if you're talking about American sports fans and the way they look at tennis and basketball, I'm going to say 2. As soon as he gets a second ring to go with the MVPs, I'm going to say it's him.
I think he needs 3 because at the end of the day, as much as I hate to say it, the tennis joker, damn it, he won't stop winning majors.
No, he won't. And by the way, Catch, I said 2 instead of 3 because you know I'm not the biggest fan of the tennis version of Joker. I like the basketball version. The tennis version is not my favorite, but he's a badass. We know he is.
Remember when he was known for like faking injuries and not being tough?
Yeah, he still is. I'm sorry, he still is. It didn't change.
He wins like 500 majors.
I know, but he still plays that game. He's still that guy. He'll still do it every once in a while. He will still do some stuff.
The old bird, was it Roddick that hit him with the bird flu?
Correct.
Remember that comment?
Roddick said SARS and bird flu in one sentence. That was
yes.
It's one of the greatest quotes of all time. It was good stuff. Jeff Ketchum, Orange.
Okay, boys, I'm sorry to.
No, you're good. That's fine. Jeff Ketchum, orangebloods.com, at GKCatch on Twitter. Give him a follow. Have a great weekend, Catch. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Catch.
Same, fellas. Take care.
Oh, my God. Yep, Djokovic did beat Alcaraz in the semis. He is into the French Open final where there is no Nadal, meaning Djokovic probably wins the thing and gets to number 23 majors all time, I think now.
Yeah, Djokovic, he has that Joker title out of those 2, but Nikola, if he wins this title, maybe another MVP before the second ring. Oh, who knows?
It really is it's not quite LT because those guys were in different generations. But yes, right now, if you're just trying to be fair, the tennis version gets it for a while, but it's multiple rings. Multiple rings are going to happen because this dude is maybe the greatest tennis player that ever lived.
By the way, Specs text line blowing up on Catch's comment on the TCU inside man, Jacob Wiley, which that's the first thing I thought of too. Jared Wiley, excuse me. Former
Wiley.
tight end.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Which that's all on Sark. Like you need to know. This guy was here during 5 and 7. Well, I mean, he probably knows some things. And if we don't change them, why not go to Sonny Dykes and be like, hey, coach, if I'm Sonny Dykes, I'm going to Jared. And I'm saying, hey, man, is there anything that you see? Yeah. What do they do? Is there anything we need to know? Like, were you cool with Xavier Worthy? This and that. Like, what's Bijan like? Bijan like this and that. Like, even what food they like. Anything to get an advantage. Sure. No. So I can't really knock Jared Wiley if it is him. Like, we're still we don't know, but that's what I first thought of. And that doesn't seem like that's not cheating to me at all. It wasn't cheating yesterday. It's Steve Sarkisian not cleaning up his playbook enough for somebody to figure that out.
Well, interesting comments there, and we'll see if the Longhorns can get all that straightened out before 2023 gets cranked up. Up next, Why Today Matters, June 9th and a little bit of the 10th. Plus, if you're looking for a good hunk of sports drama, Netflix may have an idea for you. This is The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right. Getting the look described. Really glad he said jewels. Jewels was the word there. It's Chad and Zay on a Friday. Who we got, Zay? I did not recognize this voice.
This is T-Pain on the hook.
T-Pain. Okay.
Right here is Rick Ross, AEW's finest. And both of those guys are featured on this song by Birdman and Lil Wayne.
Wow.
You know what I'm doing.
There's a lot going on.
A lot going on.
T-Pain, Rick Ross, Birdman, and Lil Wayne.
Yep.
Man, there is such a community going on in hip-hop. It's amazing. The groups involved. By the way, there's a birthday today. Who is it? Sorry, tomorrow. Tomorrow, Flesh and Bone will turn 50. If that makes you feel old. Member of Bone Thugs and Harmony.
He's like the one that nobody talks about.
I'm just, okay.
That's a weird name drop.
I'm just letting you know. I just saw the Bone Thugs and Harmony guy had a birthday. And that it's 50.
Right.
Also, Faith Evans, 50 tomorrow.
Oh, Faith.
Yeah. But I found it interesting. I didn't realize everybody in Bone Thugs and Harmony has a bone name.
Right.
It has a name with the word bone in it.
Yeah.
There's like, what, 5, 6 guys?
It's really, there's big four. Like Flesh and Bone's been on a couple of songs, but when you think of Bone Thugs, you just think of the big four they got: Wishbone, Crazy Bone, Lazy Bone, and Busy. Like Flesh and Bone's there, but not so much.
There you go. Okay.
That's interesting. Back to Faith Evans, man. Faith, shame on you for covering up the bosom tattoo that had Biggie Smalls like initials on it. She covered that up. There's like a big old rose on that breast assist. That's a shame. I mean, I know Biggie wasn't the most loyal, obviously, Lil' Kim, but still, like, he's no longer with us. I know y'all got a child together or something, like, you know.
It's just in Biggie might not have been the most,
the
most committed boyfriend ever.
Yeah, husband. They were married.
Oh, husband. I'm sorry, husband.
Yeah.
Husband.
Yeah, Biggie was out of control.
That's fair. All right. A lot of stuff on the board today, including Super Regional Baseball. Crazy ending to that first game today. Duke wins 5-4 when Virginia comes within 3 feet of a game-winning 3-run bomb. No, the outfield, the left fielder, he came up with it deep on the warning track. 5-4, Duke won that game. TCU starts at 4, South Carolina, Florida at 5, and at 7, it's Oral Roberts and Oregon, Texas, and Stanford tomorrow at 5. Plus tonight, it's NBA Finals Game 4. They'll go 7:30 on ABC. Does it start to feel dominant with Joker and Murray, or does Jimmy Butler have one more of those kind of games to remind us how tough that group is to kill? We'll get into all of that. Right now, though, in Why Today Matters, if you like drama, Zay might have found a terrific hunk of it coming up. Here we go. So, Zay, back in the day when I was growing up, before all the technology in everybody's hands, they would say, wish I was a fly on the wall. Boy, I'd love to be a fly on the wall. Wouldn't you have loved to have been there for that? Used to be impossible. Now, there are cameras and recording devices and things everywhere. There are also a lot of streaming shows going on, and they need content, and they need to fill those. So, you came up with something earlier today that you saw. And if they do have something here, this is going to be one that I think all sports fans, even if you don't love this sport, are going to want to see. Remind everybody what Netflix has been doing and what they might have for us.
Yeah, Netflix has a very popular series called Full Swing where they're tracking all of the PGA Tour players and going behind the scenes with cameras just to see how they live. And one of the producers of Full Swing said that films were rolling, sound was on, mics were hot when the Live Golf news broke.
That's fantastic.
And it will be out season 2, 2024.
Oh, okay.
So add some very spicy things, and Hey.
I got to wait till 2024? We can't get a little leak here?
I mean, come on. You got to do a little bit of editing. You don't want it to, ruffle any feathers or offend anyone.
Little preview. Rory trailer?
I mean, there might be some things said that we don't want out.
You're absolutely
just
right.
for guys and, the credibility. But I want to see an in-depth look at how these guys feel. They don't necessarily have to be disrespectful for me, but we know guys feel a certain way that's not positive, and I would like to see an authentic reaction from some of the players in the full swing series.
I totally agree with you. The other thing that just occurred to me, they probably would say no cameras in the room with Monahan. That's his name, right? Jay Monahan. Monahan and all those PGA guys, which I would understand. We've seen that in a documentary. Cameras were not allowed in, but they could stand outside and be recording. Did you hear how many golfers were in that meeting with him? 100.
Damn.
100 guys taking shots at him, asking questions. What about this? What about that? You seem hypocritical. It's this. That. You said this, now you said that. So was anybody running camera, running sound from outside that room? And then that's the other thing. Every single person that's been mic'd up for that show, were any of them there? We assume some of them were. Were any of them wearing their mics?
Right.
Did they take them off?
Yeah.
Did they turn them on? I'm a pro wrestling fan, so I'll mention Game of Shadows. When the whole Montreal Screwjob thing happened with Bret and Shawn, Bret Hart was wearing a microphone for a documentary. And guess what the sound guy did when he went to talk to Vince McMahon? He left it on.
Yeah.
Now, Vince also didn't know he was mic'd. So Monahan might know, like, hey, you guys are filming these things. I want to make sure you take those mics off. Please tell them we can't have that out here. But just something to look for, the Netflix series. I haven't watched any of that yet. Have you watched any?
Neither have I, no.
Okay. I haven't. This might at least pull me towards watching a little bit if we can see a good edited version of, okay, give me names I know and give me those reactions.
Right.
Give me Rory, Rahm, whoever you got.
And I've seen a clip of Rory hating on somebody that went live golf, like one of the players. So it's going to be interesting when those guys come back and start getting into all these events since the merger. I like it. You know me? I like a good petty story. This is petty as hell. And if somebody has something to say, I want to hear it.
Petty on a golf course, different kind of petty.
Different.
At that level with all that money and everything. The latest stuff there, by the way, Greg Norman and an official from LIV have said LIV's not going anywhere. LIV will still be LIV. Rory and a lot of guys are thinking it's just going to die, that it'll be gone. Yes, the Saudi money is going to help the PGA and the European Tour. Rory deep down thinks LIV is just going to vaporize. Norman says that's not true, but a lot of people think Greg Norman's getting edged out of this thing at some point, that he won't be a part of it. And that now there's talk that if I come back from LIV, I'm a LIV golfer, and I come back into the PGA, they're going to fine me to let me back in. They'll let me back, but they're going to fine me a significant amount of money. And the guy that gets to determine all that is Monahan. So you got, I heard Erin said this morning on B&E, and he was dead on. You talk about a hated guy on both sides. How in the world could the LIV guys tell you they like Monahan? And we know now the PGA guys what they're thinking in terms of trust level and how he's treated them. I don't think anybody's going to like him.
Yep. Can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, no, he needs to find one person. Just find one to try to make happy. My God. All right, I mentioned those two musical birthdays tomorrow, Faith Evans and Flesh and Bone, both turning 50. Today, Jackie Wilson would have been 89 years old. We lost Jackie back in 1984. What a voice. A lot of great stuff from Jackie Wilson if you want to go check that out. Zay, I got two sports birthdays for you today. Dick Vitale, 84.
Dickie B.
You know the old school on Dick Vitale.
Ooh.
It's a goofy trivia question.
Definitely don't.
It's a Northeastern school, definitely known for basketball. How about Seton Hall?
Okay.
Yeah. Also, happy 43 to Udonis Haslem as we get ready for Game 4 of the finals. Udonis, 43.
Saw Udonis enter the game late for those closeout minutes.
Yep.
What's on his head?
I don't know.
I always see him with the hoodie on. Now I get it.
Yeah.
We might just, I don't know.
I felt so bad watching.
I felt bad too. I was like, yo, what?
Because
you got a lot of money, bro. You can get that fixed, right?
I thought it was, at first, I'd made a comment about, is it just a fashion choice for him? He just thinks he looks cool in the hood. Because I made the joke, like, I only see him in that hoodie, but I meant he's not coming in the game. He's just rocking that hoodie. And then, he came in the game, and I thought, oh, what am I seeing there? Because one of the first things I thought of was like, wait a minute, before I start to think, okay, wait, are those little bald spots? But then is that like scarring of some sort? Is it like our guy, the guy who used to coach at Providence? He's somewhere else now.
Oh, yeah, Cooley.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
Cooley,
where there seems to be some kind of I don't know if it's a burn or some kind of scar. So you want to be sensitive to that. But when he came in the game, I thought, okay, that's why he's wearing that hoodie. And what is going on there? It's a little weird.
Yeah, I hope he's good. But when he came into the league, he had braids.
Yeah, it's true.
And then he took off the braids and had a little fro, but that wasn't there during the, second part of his career when Braun came. And I don't know. Yeah, but hubby's good. Happy 43 birthday. This is it. This is the last run. He's stealing money. Still.
He is. By the way, have you ever seen a more uncomfortable jumper than that one he took at the end of Game 3?
That was tough.
Reluctant.
Yeah.
Crowd wanted him to take it, and Udonis was thinking, please don't make me take this shot.
Jamal Murray was guarding them for some reason. I don't know why he was in. Like, the Nuggets had the game taken care of. And when the game ended, I've never seen this before in like an ongoing NBA Finals / playoff series when you got games to go.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray dapped him up. After the game ended, dapped him up, and I was like, "That's different."
Because he knows for the rest of the series he'll probably be sitting on
the
bench
never see him
in that
again.
hood.
Yeah, he'll never see him again. And he was like, "Yo, I watched you when I was a little kid, man. It took a lot for you to shoot that jumper. You didn't have to shoot it. You see, I did it contested. I was giving it to you, but man, salute to you. You're 43 years old, still in the league, stealing money. Like, he did it the right way. We talk about backup quarterbacks in the NFL and how great that job is, like elite job. You don't have to worry about the pressure, and you're making great NFL money. You could say you're making, I play quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. Like, that's cool to say. No female's going to go look at your stats and stuff. They're going to see that watch you got on and say, oh, really? And then somebody's like, oh, yeah, he does play for the Saints. Udonis Haslem, he is like that. He is that. He's the backup quarterback of the NBA, not playing whatsoever, old as hell, giving back game, which that's one reason why he's on that roster. Like, he's a great mentor to the guys, and you always see him in the huddles. And he really helps out Eric Spoelstra, because you need those veterans, just 43 years old. That's ancient. Like, that veteran, there's a veterans like 35, maybe 33, 10 years in. Not 20 in your 40s. That's time to go, Udonis. Time to go.
Jamal Murray treating him like he saw Prince in the grocery store in the 80s. Like, I got to get this autograph now, because he is not going to come back to town.
It was weird.
That is bizarre. All right, coming up, we'll get you stems and seeds. Speaking of the NBA, Denver looking for a title. They also got an extra draft pick coming up in this draft. We'll tell you about that, and we'll get you set up for Ball Don't Lie. Rod, Harge, and Patrick are coming right up on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All righty, just about to wrap up a Friday show, and we'll do it with a wild Hollywood story that is coming down in the last day or so. Chad and Zay, about to be done. Zay, I will admit, this is not an artist I could have identified. I know the song, and it's called Milkshake, right?
Right.
She's very attractive. I did not know what her name was. What is her name?
Khalees.
Khalees. I'm seeing it spelled Kelis here. Khalees.
Yeah.
And the report coming out of the New York Post and other places is that Khalees, aged 43, is dating Bill Murray.
Oh, Bill.
Bill is 72.
Oh, Bill, you a cold dog, man.
I think that's 29 years if my math is right.
I saw Khalees recently. Bill, I hope she don't put you over, because that's a lot that's a lot to handle at your age, dog.
I'm seeing a picture. The picture I'm seeing in a split screen here, she's beautiful.
She's fine. This is Nas's baby mama.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think they were married at one time. They got kids together,
Okay.
but she fills out the jeans that she wears, and I hope Bill isn't lactose intolerant, because that milkshake will be thrown around and then some. So I hope he all right.
That milkshake called Ghostbusters. That's crazy. Bill. Dude, she's hanging with a lot of goats then. That's a lot of goatish kind of folks to be hanging with if you've been hanging out with Nas, obviously, and now Bill Murray.
You're right. Bill got swagger. You remember in Space Jam where he came in and he was wearing the shoes, and great cameo, one of my favorites, when he came in Space Jam and was dropping dimes and stuff with Jordan and Bugs and the crew at the end. Like, that's legendary cinematic stuff right there. So he got swagger. So he got some game too.
Let's think about it. If you are sick and tired of like a stereotypical kind of man for whatever the reason, whatever it is, there might not be a better man to break that cycle with than Bill Murray.
Right?
Because he's just the different kind of dude in the best way. You know you're going to have fun. You're going to laugh. And then, you know what else, Zay? Work's never getting in the way.
That's true.
Because Bill at 72, he still does it the same way. He's got some goofy-ass beeper number or 800 number, and he tells everybody, call me and I might call you back.
Yeah.
So if you tell Bill Murray, I want to go to Cabo San wherever and show off my fine body and my new swimsuit, guess what? Bill's going.
Sure.
Bill will have that trip planned before you can finish your thought.
Yeah, this is more impressive than Troy Aikman yesterday.
Oh, yes, it is.
An old girl, even though
Oh, yes, it is.
Even though Troy looks like he can still sling that thing with that body. Troy with the 34-year-old piece. Bill Murray with Khalees, though.
No, Bill at 72. If he can stand up and walk across the room, I'm impressed. Much less dating this woman. Come on, Bill. That's awesome. That is awesome. That's hope for everybody right there.
It is.
Seriously, hope for everybody. If you're in your 70s, there's hope.
Yeah.
Hope, man, woman, whatever it is.
And you don't got to worry about no gold digging stuff like Zion, because she's an artist herself. She got her own.
Here's the only thing that can make it better. What if Bill Murray and Nas get along? Can you imagine? Like, think about that for a second. What if Bill Murray is dating Nas's baby? They have children together, right?
Right.
Were they married?
Yeah.
Okay, ex-wife, baby mama. What if they actually get along? That would be the greatest. Bill Murray would officially become the GOAT of what he does.
I'm sure Bill likes him some Nas. I'm sure he's hit up Nas and say, "Is this cool?" Because that's still the code.
Yeah, that's true.
When you're
Yes,
like,
yes.
"Hey, yo, is this cool?" Because again, Nas, he might be older, but homeboy from Queensbridge.
Yeah.
He probably knows some dangerous folk. Where Bill, I get it, you well off and stuff, but you don't want them Queensbridge problems. Like Ron Artest is from Queensbridge.
Dude, if I was Bill Murray, I would require Nas to be on our first 3 dates just to make sure he was cool with it.
Make sure he's cool.
Just to make sure.
That's a part of the code.
Oh, my God. All right, let's go stems and seeds.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Whew, brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Good on you, Bill Murray. All right, the other big story today, obviously Denver's going for the win tonight. Do the Nuggets get it done, Zay?
Yeah. We said 5, so they got to win this one, and I think they figured out the formula to take down the Miami Heat, and Jimmy Butler's fatigue is a real concern. He just doesn't look like he has that same giddy-up that we've seen in the first 3 series, so if Miami's other guys, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, all those guys, if they're knocking down shots, and they definitely have a chance. Kyle Lowry, where has he been? He hasn't been good, since game 2. So, I mean, they need all of those other guys, not just Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, but if Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are going to dominate with that 2-man game, then they don't have much of a chance, the Miami Heat.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge Miami by saying Denver wins. You and I both picked them in 5. I'm going to stay with that until that pick goes away. I think Denver does win again tonight, and they definitely found something. They also got an extra draft pick. They made a little deal with Oklahoma City, Zay. Denver will now have the 37th and 40th picks in this draft, and they also picked up a 24 first-round pick from Oklahoma City. So a team that's already this dangerous and already this good at picking role guys has 37 and 40 in this next draft.
That's scary.
Let's see what they do with those picks.
That's scary. They've done a good job in their front office. Like I mentioned earlier, getting Michael Porter Jr. was a steal, and a lot of people thought he was an afterthought because of his health, and Nikola Jokic 2nd round, Jamal Murray going where he went. They do a really good job of analyzing players. Hell, Christian Brown this year, he's getting significant minutes these last few games, this whole season, and he's a rookie. So they do a really good job of analyzing players and realizing what they can bring to their culture and what they can make fit.
Texas, Stanford. Who wins the Super Regionals?
Texas in 2, baby. We come back Monday ready to go to Omaha.
Texas in 2. Boom, boom.
Come back Monday ready to go to Omaha. Let's get it.
Gordon Johnson, bam, bam.
Let's get it.
Complete game, LeBaron again?
Maybe.
Okay, don't want to go that far. Okay.
That's a lot of pitches he threw.
Fair enough.